furniture, appliances, flooring, and electronics. We hope this will make recovering easier for our eastern Nebraska and western Iowa neighbors. To ease financial strain, please mention this ad in store and ask about long-term financing offers. In the wake of disaster, NFM is here to help if you need us.
Introducing Modern Real Estate, the game changer in Nebraska's property market. With a competitive 2% commission rate, we're making buying, selling, and investing more affordable and transparent than ever. Our experienced agents blend local expertise with cutting-edge technology to provide top-notch personalized service to all clients. Don't settle for less when you can save big without compromising. Visit modernrealestateco.com and experience the future of real estate today. Modern Real Estate, redefining the way you do real estate.
For the second year, the Nebraska Lottery's NASCAR Powerball Playoff promotion has roared into our state, and the excitement is throttling up. Until June 24th, buy a Powerball ticket with Power Play and Double Play. Enter the voucher number, and you could be one of 15 Nebraska winners of $1,000 and the chance to win a VIP trip to the NASCAR Cup Series Championship Weekend, plus a shot at $1 million. Enter today. Powerball top prize odds 1 in 292 million.
The Omaha Farmers Market offers the city's best selection of farm fresh, locally grown produce May 4th through October 13th. Open rain or shine in the Old Market every Saturday from 8 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. and in Exarban Village every Sunday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. To keep up with what's in season, visit omahafarmersmarket.org and follow them on Facebook and Instagram. Sponsored by KETV Channel 7.
Seasons change. Why not your tech? Upgrade now during the Dell Technologies Summer Sale event and save on select PCs like the XPS 16 powered by Intel Core processors. You'll be able to bring your most intensive projects to life with built-in AI, minimalistic design, immersive visuals, and cinematic audio. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to exceptional tech and electronics plus free shipping on everything. Amazing prices await you for a limited time only at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
The Zone Hotline is powered by 42 Degrees. The Source. By your mom's house.
1620 The Zone.
Reinhardt taken away for it now. He's got it on the near side. The final seconds tick away, and the Panthers take Game 5 by a 3-2 final score. And the Panthers take a 3-2 lead in this Eastern Conference Final. The Panthers knock off the Rangers tonight, and the Panthers are now one win away from a second straight trip to the Stanley Cup Final.
The Dallas Mavericks, for the first time in 13 years and just the third time in their history, the Dallas Mavericks are going to the NBA Finals.
Live from 50th and Capitol Avenue in the Big O, this is Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and 1620 The Zone TV. Now here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy.
Hey, guys. Great to see you.
Great to see you, Matt Rule, on prime time in so many games in 2024, because that is what is happening for the Nebraska football team. Good Friday morning, feel good Friday vibes here. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. It is Nick, it is John Schreiner, it is Peter, and we are excited to be with you on game day. I'm excited, man. I even got the skinny end on. Didn't have the block end. So the block end is faux pas. And if you know, you know when it comes to Husker baseball. And even though Nebraska's playing in a regional and they are still wearing those god-awful, hideous block ends and not the skinny end, it is an exciting day for Nebraska baseball.
You tell me right now what's wrong with the block end.
It's just too gaudy, man.
It's classic.
This right here is classic when I think of Husker baseball. The skinny end. Watching Shane Comine throw 150 pitches a game. Look, Dan Johnson hit bombs. Alex Gordon. Jeff Christie. You name it.
Nick, we need consistency.
I know.
In our uniforms. They're called uniforms for a reason, okay?
See, this was a Trev thing. So I know Troy Denton is doing some great things for Nebraska athletics right now, but if you want to really, I don't even think Troy Denton's trying to stick it to Trev, but if you really want to make the baseball section happy, you will say to Will Bolt if you want to go back to the skinny end, it's okay. Now, I get it. You're at the point of no return this season because a lot of good things have happened, even with that block end. But next year, can you go back to the skinny end?
Trev was very big on logo consistency.
Yes, he was.
He did the same thing at UNO.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sporting the big O on my hat today.
As my son likes to refer to that logo, I have no idea, so just bear with me, but he calls it shampoo. I don't know why.
Interesting.
But anybody who's wearing the O logo who's like, Daddy, shampoo. What does that even mean? Why is that shampoo to you? But yeah, the O logo to my son is shampoo.
Because, I mean, when Trev took over at UNO, there was the football logo, which was the
Miami Hurricane-ish thing.
They got sued by Miami to stop using it.
It was a cool I admit, and I was at an establishment yesterday having a drink with a friend, and they had it was a very shiny red UNO football helmet, and part of me shed a tear.
You died a little inside.
I did, because the only year I was the PA announcer full-time was their last year.
That was the year I was the sideline reporter.
Oh, yeah. See, you and I both killed UNO football.
Wow.
Inadvertently. We didn't mean to.
I also was the sideline reporter when the Omaha Nighthawks died. So if you want your sports organization to stay alive, don't hire me as the sideline reporter.
Jeez. In this day and age of hoping that Olympic sports will survive, because we got to pay student athletes now, if you're looking for a quick fix, John Schreiner is for hire.
You want to cancel your football program?
Just get him on staff for a year, and that fate is sealed.
It's only going to take you 12 games.
So we got Husker baseball in the Stillwater Regional. Now, first and foremost, we need to talk about this, because if you were watching some of the live reports yesterday by the various news outlets, I know KTV was doing some really good stuff out there too. They had the tarp on. It looked a little, I remember when Nebraska was practicing, you could see some raindrops. They've had to dodge some storms there. There is a slight chance of thunderstorms in the afternoon in Stillwater, and of course, Nebraska and Florida play the afternoon game at 2. At night, it's supposed to be a lot better. So we're hoping that it will remain dry and delay-free out there in Stillwater. This is what we don't talk about this a lot. I know we get into this a lot in the College World Series because it impacts us immediately as we cover the College World Series in our different spectrums. But I swear regionals always have this too, where you're almost playing a regional. There was one year we were playing a regional on Tuesday because every day it was getting either lightning delayed or rained out. So it is unfortunately one of those inevitable things that you have to deal with during regional play. So hoping that Nebraska and Florida will, first of all, start on time and be uninterrupted, because this is a big day for Nebraska baseball. We'll get into and we've kind of built this up all throughout the week when it comes to what a win over Florida could do in this regional for Nebraska's confidence. But again, a baseball program in the Big Ten that's trying to form more of a consistent identity as the Big Ten welcomes, I would say, at least one, if not two, current power programs. Maybe power's the wrong way to label it, but
Blue
legit.
Bloods.
Yeah, Blue Bloods. Like the Blue Bloods, I think of USC, UCLA, but I think of like who's doing it now. Oregon, and they're a 3 seed. They're in the NCAA tournament as well. So we can now say it was actually 4 Big Ten teams that made the NCAA tournament. And Washington, we've seen them in Omaha before too. So there's a lot of different, I think, implications when it comes to how Nebraska handles their business in postseason play and regional play. Right as we got off the air yesterday, in fact, I was talking with Connor about this during the crossover, and we knew, and Peter even alluded to this as we got off the air, that we will get some kickoff times. They are going to continue to roll out, and boy, did they ever. And boys, prime time Nebraska. Prime time Nebraska.
Somebody finally realized that it doesn't matter how good or bad Nebraska football is, they're going to get a big number.
Yep.
So you might as well put them in the big slot.
When was the last time 3 consecutive nighttime home games happened at Memorial Stadium?
It happened. I was thinking about that last night, Peter. It happened, or yesterday, whenever the heck the news came out. There was one random year, and there might have been one marquee matchup, but it just seemed like Nebraska all of a sudden started playing in a lot of primetime affairs, but they weren't great matchups. It just worked out that way, and it was the first half of the season. Yeah. but especially that Black Friday game being at 6:30 in Iowa City. Oh, baby, that is going to be all right. And we'll get into the significance of this stage for Nebraska football because, like we said, we've seen this before, John. I mean, we've seen Nebraska play under the lights. There was the 2021 season, where it felt like a lot of their bigger games. I don't know why I'm always fixated on the Michigan game when they played Michigan in Lincoln. They almost pulled that one off. But it felt like they were getting, and that was the same year they had Northwestern at night as well. You know, it seemed like they were getting a lot of primetime opportunities. And, you know, when you have a 3-win season like they did that year, it was obviously the wins were few and far between. So I guess at least you could say they showed out against very, very bad Northwestern team. But
Buffalo and Fordham, the other 2 wins that season.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. Those are all quality wins there. It's been one of those things. This spans even beyond the Scott Frost years. When I remember in 2017.
Yeah, they had 3 night games in a row that year.
Yeah, that's why
Michigan State, Northwestern, and Michigan.
Yeah.
7:30, 7:30.
That's right. Yeah, because the game in East Lansing.
Yep.
Another heartbreaker. I think back to, I guess it would have been 2016 when Nebraska got off to that 7-0 start. And
Uncle Mike.
They go into Wisconsin. Remember, that was a night game. And that was the stage that really Bo failed to capitalize on. It was essentially the big games that had some type of significant meaning. This is despite the 9 wins that Bo was getting every year, which now we look back on and say, that wasn't so bad. It was always that deciding game of, okay, is this going to be just another, a 9-win respectable season, or is this going to be something even better? Are you going to be playing for a conference title? Could you have yourself into, well, I guess at the time they still did have the BCS. You could have a BCS bowl game. And that was the stage that Nebraska, whether it be primetime or not, would always lay an egg. And so you always felt like that was where the program had reached its ceiling. They had not been able to overcome that major hurdle there in the final few years, especially the Big Ten years of Bo Pelini. But I remember there was a hint of optimism that even in a loss against a good Wisconsin team, remember both those teams at that time were ranked in the top 15. Heck, they might have. I know Nebraska was 9th. So they were in the top 10. God, that's crazy. Think about it, folks. Nebraska was in the top 10, 7 games in. And they lose that game in Madison in overtime. And so even with the loss, you're thinking, hey, that was a primetime game, and they didn't get embarrassed. There was no Melvin Gordon situation happening there.
That was the first of 3 straight night games in that season.
That's
as well.
Right, because then you had Ohio State, and then
62-3,
and then was it the Michigan?
Minnesota.
That's right.
Which was a 7:30 BTN game.
That was Hoodiegate. You got into a situation there where you're thinking maybe they've turned the corner a little bit, even though they didn't win the game. They were extremely competitive with a divisional foe on the road under the lights. These were areas that you couldn't necessarily check the box on when it came to Bo Pelini's last few years. Then we were given the rude awakening of, oh, yeah, they haven't changed much, and this isn't very good. And then the way that season ended wasn't very good, but I digress. So there was a moment that I thought, hey, Nebraska is, even in a loss, solving some of the primetime road game woes. And, yeah, really, we still have not yet seen that conquered, obviously, by the Scott Frost crew and the very, very early stages of the Matt Rule tenure. But there's a lot of talk about Matt Rule year two jump. What do you feel is real? Where is there substance, and where is just the reputation? And you almost blindly follow that. I know people do both. And so we'll dive into that. I got to say this, and Peter, this is something that you and I, we got to take the L on this one. I'll take it more because I feel like I led you down this path. I didn't say, and remember, I want to be very clear, even though I'm going to eat a lot of my words. On Wednesday, after we actually got a win from the Wolves in the Western Conference Finals, I started doing this just because we're in the summer. We can overhype things if we really want to because it creates a little chatter. I started making comparisons of Minnesota getting the one win, and if they were to be the first team to ever come back from 3 games down in a playoff series, that we had to go back to when the Boston Red Sox took down the New York Yankees in 2004, that you're looking for some commonalities amongst the DNA. And maybe it was a reach, and after last night, obviously it was. Unfortunately, the New York Yankees in 2004 did not have Luka Doncic. But I tried to say there's this whole we don't give a blank. We're gonna use the whole motto, you better beat us now. Better not let us win today. If you let us win today, then we got this going the following week. Then we got this going. I was talking about how home court advantage, they won on the road. Then they're coming back to try to get a second win in Minnesota. You like their chances of at least getting one win in Minneapolis. And so I really tried to hype that whole, hey, Minnesota, why not them? Minnesota, this has been such a fun season. They're down 3-0. Oh, that's just not the Minnesota story we've been following. Then they get the one win. Hey, here they go. Wouldn't it be very appropriate, the seasons the Wolves have had, that they would be the first team in NBA history to come back from 3 games down? So all of that stuff I was thrown out there in the last 48 hours. And then last night happened.
Whoops.
Yeah. And then Luka just decided to basically be unconscious around the arc and talking to anybody who would listen, including Snoop. And all Snoop could do is like, wow. Just shake his head in applause and like, wow, this dude is really good. A lot of the credit I got to give to Luka Doncic first and foremost, and the Mavericks, because I feel like out of this entire postseason, they just haven't really been the story, but all they've done is put their head down and win some big series. Taking down OKC was not easy to do, and really making it a laughable series in the gentleman's sweep against the Wolves. I'm ready to tip my cap and say, all right, cool, you got my attention. But I'm more pissed off at Minnesota because that was a fun story. For a guy like me, and I don't know how much in the regular season you follow the NBA. I don't.
Zero.
Okay, so you and I are on the same page. I get into it in the playoffs. I am like a lot of people that are more casual sports fans that aren't NBA hoop heads. I cling to the fun story. Unless the Chicago Bulls are playing meaningful postseason basketball, because that's my team. But
yeah, mine too.
I cling, and that hasn't been a great story, so I just don't really look forward to that. I cling to a good story, and how could you not be impressed with what Minnesota was doing and how they were doing it, and Anthony Edwards and everything that came with not only the personalities they have, but the style they play. I mean, it's an NBA team, John. For all of the old school people out there, they play defense. At least they did. Not in this series, but so there was a lot of relatable, fun, likable, feeling connected with the team types of stuff that you could look at and say, yep, Minnesota, I'm totally on board. And it felt like the way that when you defeat the defending champions in the Denver Nuggets, not easy to do, mind you, and then you play in this series the way that they did. And again, give credit to Jason Kidd, give credit to a lot of how they decided to counter what Minnesota wanted to do defensively. It was almost like the Denver series was their NBA Finals. And anything that they did from that standpoint was gravy, just based on the way they played. Now, you know it, and I know it. You've covered and followed a lot of basketball in your time. A lot of that had to do with how Dallas went about their game plan with Minnesota. But the overall feel, the very flat feeling of how Minnesota was and how uncompetitive they were in that game last night in an elimination game. They finally lose an elimination game. That was disappointing. It was very, very disappointing. And so I'm kind of mad at Minnesota today.
Yeah,
As you say.
Dallas kind of likes to just take all the uncertainty out of big closeout games. They throttled Phoenix in that Game 7 a few years back, and
That's a good point.
This one was essentially over by
It was.
halftime.
I think it was
30
over after the first.
Yeah, it was just the immediate air sucked out of the building, and just the way. Credit to Dallas, they did not want that game staying close late, and
nope.
They once you take the energy out of the crowd that early, it's really hard to get back into it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest with you, I didn't watch a minute of it.
Oh, Johnny.
Hockey was on.
Hockey was on.
Hockey.
And that Florida New York series is really good. So
I think Dallas Edmonton is amazing too. I think, and see, that's that's a perfect time to bring this up. The Western and Eastern Conference Finals in the NBA, you had one win between the two losing teams. One win.
Yep.
Between Indiana and Minnesota. Peter and I have talked about this. We are convinced that we're going to see at least one Game 7, if not both series. And what you had last night, now you've got Florida leading the series 3-2.
Huge win in New York.
Especially going to New York. That was big. But then you also get Edmonton, Dallas, and that one shifts over to Dallas. Series tied 2 games apiece. That one, more than anything, seems like that's going to a Game 7. But I think we might see 2 Game 7s there. You're looking at the competitive balance, the matchups, and this is why hockey is a lot of fun, especially in the postseason, that even on paper, if there is a more dominant team, and speaking of the Rangers, I go back to 2014, I believe, when they rode Henrik Lundqvist to, unfortunately, they lost in the Stanley Cup Finals, but they rode him all the way to an Eastern Conference final victory. And so, and they were on paper in those matchups, and LA was just so good in the finals. But on paper, they were usually the inferior team, but you were riding a very hot Henrik Lundqvist. And so that's where that competitive balance sometimes equalizes it in the sport of hockey, when you've got a certain part of your team that maybe hasn't been there the entire way, or you've got some scoring droughts going on, but your goalie is standing on his head, that you're able to bring up the rear a little bit in that maybe matchup disparity.
It's just been such a long time since the best team in the regular season in hockey won the championship, right? Like, It just doesn't happen very often because it's so difficult once you get to the playoffs. Like, rotations get shorter.
Mm-hmm.
Your goaltenders seem to be more locked in. It's just harder to score in general. And like, the curse of the President's Trophy is a real thing.
Yeah.
And like, New York is feeling it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you look at it too, with what Florida is fighting too, is a team that again was a 52-game winner. So even though they didn't win the regular season compared to New York with 55-game regular season wins, you're looking at some very good teams that are still remaining too, and some of the top teams. So then you get a little bit of that, but you also get the fact that all of these teams have been solid. I think everybody now knows about Edmonton, even though they weren't a 50-game winner. I mean, you obviously know Connor McDavid, but also Leon Draisaitl. Just that line alone is one of the more exciting lines in all of hockey.
Oh, Edmonton is like just so much fun to watch.
They are.
Even if you're not a big fan of hockey, it's only a peripheral thing that you follow. Like, you can tune in to watch Edmonton play and be utterly entertained.
Absolutely.
Because they play the game at a breakneck pace. If they get on a power play, like, your head just explodes, like how fast they move the puck.
Yeah.
Where they hold the zone. It's incredible to watch. They are absolutely just fire when they get on the power play.
Mm-hmm.
And those two guys. And then you throw in, like Evan Bouchard, who is just dropping bombs from the blue line. They're so much fun.
And I would even throw in, when you look at what's the type of season Dallas has had, very balanced team as well, good goaltending, but also they've got good scorers there too. So there's a little bit of every style. Yeah. Hell yeah. And going back to New York too, and just with what they've done, I'll always bring up goaltending and teams that, again, New York has had, you've had Henrik Lundqvist, you've had guys that have been pretty solid when they've come through, but Shesterkin, am I saying that right, by the way? Shesterkin, yeah. Sorry. He's Iggy. Some of the saves that he has made in the postseason have just been, they've defied logic.
Well, the two series have been like stark contrasts to one another.
Mm-hmm.
Like Edmonton, Dallas has been like, if you like open play, up and down, back and forth, high scoring, just total focus on the offensive end, that's the series for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you want to see like big hits, bodies in the corner, incredible goaltending, that's New York, Florida. Like they have been just stark contrast, and which is going to make the Stanley Cup final a really interesting matchup because they're going to be total contrasting styles of whoever makes it.
And I got to say, obviously, first and foremost, I'm always just like in the NBA, but I have more vested interest in the NHL. I'm always a ride or die Chicago Blackhawk fan, no matter what, and I'm hoping that they're going to be back in that position in a couple of years. But if it's not Chicago, I always want to see that excitement in the Stanley Cup Finals of playmakers, goal scorers, and so this is why I'm all on the Edmonton bandwagon. I want to see Edmonton represent in that series, take down Dallas, and be part of that. Now, between
I just want
Florida
to see this
and
edition
New York,
of the
I
Oilers.
really don't care. Yeah,
I just want to see them play more games.
I do too.
Honestly, no rooting interest as a Caps fan.
Yep.
Except that I don't like the Rangers. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Just want to see the fun teams play more games.
Yep.
That's totally about the entertainment perspective.
I know a lot of people that, even some of my closest friends that are so anti-Chicago, whether they're Blues fans or Avs fans, Red Wing fans, Bruin fans, would say anybody but Chicago, but then they couldn't help to get excited when you had the Tays, Kane, and you had the Duncan Keith, you had those were fun that teams. Core group. Yeah. And very similar to what Edmonton does. If Chicago got in a power play with the amount of talent that they had, it was just a matter of when, not if. Corey Crawford, who was one of the most reliable backstops that you're going to see. There was just so many fun moments with that team on how they could beat you in so many different ways. And then if they were defended extremely well, then Corey Crawford all of a sudden throws out a shutout. So Edmonton, with the star power that they have and their ability to score, it reminds me a little bit of that, where you know that between McDavid and then Draisaitl, you're going to get that, but then they've got other lines that are highly productive as well.
It reminds you a little of some of those Tampa Bay teams with Vinny LeCavalier and Marty St. Louis and that bunch that they had too. I mean, there have been a few teams that can just play such entertaining hockey that they're almost impossible to ignore. It's like, even if you don't care, even if you don't really root for that team, they're just so much fun to watch that it's like appointment viewing.
Yeah, totally agree. I love that we actually got into the NHL Stanley Cup.
I'm your Huckleberry.
Because I know Bruin Steve is always hoping that we're going to talk a little bit more hockey, especially in the open there. And so there you go, Bruin Steve, on a Friday, on a Husker baseball game day Friday, albeit as well. But we did get, I think the way I can sum up the Western Conference Finals in the NBA is I'm not mad at you, Minnesota. I'm just disappointed. I'm not mad, but I'm disappointed, which I always thought as a kid that cut deeper. When mom and dad, I just wanted them to yell at me and be mad, but no, then they said, we're not mad. We're just disappointed. We expect more out of you. And then you walked away and then you're like, ooh, that doesn't feel good. That's what I hope Minnesota's feeling today.
I don't like this.
Yeah. I just rather you just yell at us for a good 15, 20 minutes and we all get over it. But then when you just let it linger like that,
so as
disappointment,
as someone who pays minimal to zero attention to the NBA, let me ask you some questions here.
Okay. Boston,
Dallas. Who do you want to win? Who do you think's going to win?
I think it's the same answer. I want Boston to win, and I think Boston will win. I do. And now you almost feel, I don't know if you want to say you feel foolish if you continue to count Dallas out. I think they've played the role a little bit of the villain because Luka talks. All right, Luka complains. but Luka is really good. Luka scores a lot too. But as one of the highly productive players in the NBA, dare I say superstars of the NBA, there is a little bit of that grimacing with Luka when things aren't going his way. The body language gets really bad. And so I think between him and then just Kyrie Irving, who's all over the freaking map. I told Peter this. I think Kyrie's I've never seen Kyrie more content to where he is. Kyrie seems like he's very happy for once. You go all the way back to when he was first with Cleveland. I think Kyrie Irving is actually very, very happy. Now, it's easy to be happy when you're winning too, but I think he seems like his role is one that he's very comfortable with. He likes being the two-man feature with he and Luka. His contributions have been huge, so you can't deny that, but not a lot of people like Kyrie as well. So, and then there's, Mark Cuban. I appreciate Mark Cuban's his savvy when it comes to the business world, but Mark Cuban's very loud. He's in a lot of people's
face. He's a fan of his team.
He is. So Boston, we all know Boston fans, whether they're here or whether you've been out to Boston. They're cocky, they're arrogant, they can be downright nasty.
From Boston.
Yeah. Who doesn't like the cousin from Boston? But there's just something about when you go there and maybe you watch a Celtics game or maybe you watch a Red Sox game. I've never been to a Patriots game, so I can't comment on that. And even though they've had things very good in the modern sports century, you somehow feel it because I think they suck you into this woe is me. And you kind of feel it. And I don't know how. Like you could still, for some reason, you could still dwell on the curse of the Bambino and still feel sorry for them. I don't know. I can't explain it, but I appreciate them. They're great people to drink beers with too, by the way. And I do like a lot of the makeup of that team. Tatum, I think, gets a lot of criticism for a guy that is pretty good. I'm a big Jaylen Brown fan. I love his game. I love the way that he goes about it. And I thought after last year where you had Missoula getting a lot of criticism in the way that he was coaching in the postseason, I thought he did a hell of a turnaround this year too. So there's a lot of factors in there that from a rooting interest, I want to go with the C's, but then from who I think is going to win, it just seems like this was the team that a lot of people were picking at the beginning of the season. They're opening right now as a minus 225 favorite, so Vegas likes them as well. I think this thing will go more than 5 games, but at the end of it, I'll say Boston in 6.
Which team plays better defense?
Probably slightly Boston, slightly. And this is where I'll go back to Luka. Luka doesn't play defense when Luka's not feeling it. But when Luka has to play some defense, he's actually more than adequate.
He's not a bad defender.
He's not.
He just doesn't give the same intensity every time.
I think Kyrie is a good defender. We were talking a lot about Derek Lively, what he contributes off the bench in the paint. By the way, played, and then when he got smoked in the head, though, I'm like, oh my god.
You and I weren't sure if he was going to suit up again until I thought if it got to the point.
And I thought if he did, how effective would he be?
And turns out, one game off, still very effective.
Again, this is why you shouldn't listen to a guy who only pays attention to the playoffs. Everything that I brought up. So, hey, good for you, Dallas. You're going to win because I'm saying I want Boston to win, and I think they'll win. So, Dallas, get ready for that victory parade.
Just looking at the makeup of the teams and knowing the way that the NBA positions itself and markets itself, it's probably better for everybody involved if they get a trophy in the hands of Luka Doncic. Yeah. He's the biggest star in the series.
I still think Tatum's in there too. I still think you got Tatum. Now, Luka, I think gets more of the attention because he's so polarizing too.
Yes.
The way he goes about it.
And he puts
Tatum could be a silent killer. Well, he puts up 42 and you didn't even realize it.
But Luka puts up the ridiculous stats. He fills up the stat sheet in all categories. And I don't know. I think he's probably the most marketable, biggest star in the series. Like, he's the young gun. He's the one that they've been. He's one of the players that they've been pushing.
I wouldn't
but
disagree.
Getting a trophy in his hands is probably best for all parties involved. Now,
by the way,
it doesn't always work out that way.
You know the NBA execs are very happy about this, as opposed to having
Pacers, Timberwolves,
Indiana, Minnesota series. Yeah. Like, oh my God, you get the East Coast market and then you get the Dallas market. Oh, all is right after having to go through that Miami versus Denver series. All is well. The TV execs win. NBA wins.
Yeah, I don't know how much I'll watch the finals. It just it runs parallel to the Stanley Cup, and the NBA playoffs, and I'm much more invested in that. It's more entertaining to me.
Well, this is what's great is they play on opposite nights, so you can take in both.
No competition.
Yep. So once we get to the finals, John, there's no excuse.
Well, there's plenty of excuses.
I understand that. That's fine. I mean, hey, you're just being real.
I am.
Oh, there's Rick in the YouTube. Good morning, Rick.
Hi, Rick. All right. What's going on, Rick? Coming up on the show, we're going to be talking to Matt Verzal a little bit later on in the 9 o'clock hour. Also, we've got a lot to get to with college baseball today as the road to Omaha begins, and especially in Stillwater, Oklahoma, will Nebraska be able to get what could be not only in the moment a huge victory to push them into a winner's bracket game, but a program impact type victory that we could get into a little bit later on. This is going to be, I think, a fun matchup, a fun day of college baseball. We will talk about that. The big news yesterday is primetime Nebraska. That's right. A lot of TV times and kickoff times were released for Nebraska's schedule, and you will notice that Nebraska's playing in a lot of primetime games, including the annual Black Friday matchup in Iowa City will be a night game. Do you like that? Do you not like that? Are you just saying, hey, I don't care. Any way they can get a win against our crosstown rival, or not crosstown, I guess. If we're going over the river, consider Council Bluffs a crosstown, but our cross-state rival. There we go. We don't need to get back into Colorado and Iowa. Again, you won, John. You won that one.
1-0.
Although both games are at night. See? Yep. So they obviously consider both teams as a significant rival. If you want to get on the conversation at all today, 402-951-1620 is the number to the 42-degree hotline, the source by your mom's house. Our lineup is always powered by the rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard. And you can hit us up on the J-Tech Construction Zone Twitter feed. I am at Nick Handley 1620. John is
at John Schreiner. You can always find me there.
At John Schreiner. And also the
Sometimes I'm
Bank.
funny.
I enjoy you. So, I mean, you got one fan at least. Equitable Bank Inbox, where they take banking personally. Doug and his crew do it better than everyone. Email the show. I am Handley at 1620thezone.com. When we return, we chop up the schedule. And I mean chop it up as far as kickoff times. Do you like it? What do you like about it? Oh, Peter, you're waving your hand. Do you have something? You're chopping it up.
Chopping motion.
You're chopping broccoli.
Chopper style.
Okay, I got you. That's good. We will get into the schedule. We'll get into the impact of Nebraska on the big stage and that year two jump that we all think Matt Rule is capable of, this football program is capable of, and also a young 19-year-old quarterback ready for the big stage. We will get into all of that as we get things going to Feel Good Friday right here on Mornings with Sharp and Handley. It's Nick, it's John, it's Peter. Happy you're with us on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Now live on Twitch, YouTube, and 1620thezone.com.
When it comes to concrete repair, Everlevel has some serious game. Coach Greg McDermott here to coach you on why you should choose Everlevel Concrete Repair. They've got the fundamentals to fix your cracked and uneven concrete, and their products will give you the best defense against future damage. It's a fraction of the price compared to replacement, and their solutions come with a long-term transferable warranty. Working with Everlevel is a slam dunk. Call Everlevel Concrete Repair today for your free inspection.
Experience personalized service and exceptional deals at Woodhouse Lincoln. With cutting-edge technology and incredible design, Woodhouse Lincoln is the place to find your next luxury vehicle. Going on now. Receive 2.9% APR for 72 months on the 2024 Lincoln Navigator. Or save up to $2,000 off MSRP with retail customer cash on the 2024 Lincoln Navigator. With approved credit, $299 doc fee due at signing. Offer expires July 8, 2024. See dealer for details.
To all of the families impacted by recent tornadoes, NFM wants to help. We've put together special disaster recovery pricing store-wide. Offers are available on furniture, appliances, flooring, and electronics. We hope this will make recovering easier for our eastern Nebraska and western Iowa neighbors. To ease financial strain, please mention this ad in store and ask about long-term financing offers. In the wake of disaster, NFM is here to help if you need us.
Family Talk with Straight Talk.
You give and you give. It's time to get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get a reliable 5G network and unlimited data, and you get to choose who joins your family plan starting as low as $25 a line. Does it have to be family? It can be family or people you like.
Get more lines and more savings. Switch to Straight Talk for family plan starting as low as $25 a line per month for 4 lines. Find us at Walmart and straighttalk.com. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com. Family plan discount with 4 lines, all on the Silver Unlimited plan. Taxes and fees apply.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding or a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Grainger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
There has never been a better time to get loaded. Excuse me. Load up on your favorites at 42 Degrees. It's the inventory reduction sale at 42 Degrees. Help us clear out our overstock of select disposables up to 75% off. Save up to 50% on CBD, Kratom, vaporizers, and glass. Plus hot new lower pricing on all premium THC and CBD products. That's right. Unbeatable new lower pricing on all premium THC and CBD products. It's the inventory reduction sale at 42 Degrees by your mom's house.
Don't miss this week's Zone Deal.
This week's half-off deal are coupons valued at $50 on sale for just $25 to the Woodcliff restaurant at Woodcliff Lake in Fremont. It's perfect for a romantic dinner or to bring the whole family to enjoy a culinary treat for any special occasion. $50 on sale for just $25 to the Woodcliff restaurant at Woodcliff Lake in Fremont. This week's half-off deal.
Zone deals go fast. 9 a.m. Friday, 1620thezone.com.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's business cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp for free. Just go to ramp.com/sports. Ramp.com/sports. RAMP.com/sports.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Now back to Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Rick wants to know, Swizzy, on a Friday. On a Feel Good Friday, 1620 The Zone, Nick and John with you. And the man, Peter, who says Friday, y'all.
Friday, y'all.
Friday. Rick asks what teams from the Big Ten are in the regionals. Well, Rick, I'm going to throw a little twist at you. There's technically 3, but 4. And you don't want to know why? Because Oregon. I know it's not July 1st yet.
And Oregon.
But we're gonna go ahead and jump the gun and say, Oregon, you can wear the Big Ten banner for the conference as well. Because Oregon's draw is actually, in my opinion, if we're counting all of the Big Ten teams and Oregon, the new addition, as a 3 seed, Oregon in the Santa Barbara regional with the Gauchos and San Diego and Fresno State.
Love
now
me some
remember,
gaucho.
Fresno State 4 seed.
Thank you, Peter. 2008. Fresno took that 4 seed and they shoved it up college baseball's rear end all the way to a national championship, beating the very powerful Georgia Bulldogs. I remember that one. That was a fun team, by the way. That was a Fresno State team that if you weren't on board with them, then you just don't like sports. Oregon, though, is the 3 seed in that one. It's not a horrible draw for them. But also you've got, obviously, Nebraska in the Stillwater Regional. And the one that I think is probably the most daunting out of all of the Big Ten teams would be Indiana, who barely made it in, but being in the Knoxville Regional with Tennessee, Southern Miss, and Northern Kentucky. And then Illinois, this isn't any slouch of a region, too. Illinois is a 3 seed in the Lexington Regional where they've got Kentucky. Now, this is where I will say,
I think
their 2-3 matchup,
I think they could get to
is favorable.
The regional final.
I do too. I think Kentucky is a very strong team, but Indiana State and Illinois, that's the matchup today. I would not be shocked if the Fighting Illini merges to the winner's bracket game between the winner of Kentucky and Western Michigan. So keep your eye on, out of all teams, including Oregon.
Illinois could win 2 games in that region. I think
100%. Yep. I could see them winning today, having a tough game, maybe showing up, but just getting edged by Kentucky tomorrow, coming back in a loser's bracket scenario, probably against Indiana State again.
Probably.
And then having to, put in a position to beat Kentucky twice. Indiana, even in that 3-2 matchup, Southern Miss is a good team. Southern Miss was a team that was very close to hosting. So Indiana, I've watched Indiana now a handful of times this last month. And the reason I think that watching them recently, you feel like you have a little bit better idea of where they're trending. This team can hit. That's about it. Yeah. They don't pitch it very well. And defensively, they're pretty sloppy. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Nebraska or really dig in on Indiana and continue to throw them under the bus. But you're in a situation where a team's got to beat you twice on a Saturday. And I understand you had the home field advantage if you're Nebraska, but not a great look for Indiana. And I feel like the exact opposite of what I think really shows in the Big Ten tournament. Now, Nebraska flipped that narrative a little bit, but a lot of the Big Ten champions that we've seen in previous years, the tournament champions, that is, you've usually seen them be able to power their way through. And that's why I wasn't shocked that Indiana was in a winner's bracket situation. I actually had them coming out of that bracket to win it.
Wow.
But at some point you do have to pitch. And then when you get into the regionals, though, this is where you've got the short format where you need to pitch because everybody's going to be rolling out their ace on that first day. And if your ace isn't up to par, you're going to get bested. Even if you do have the ability to swing it, you're going to be going up against some premier pitching. So what I thought played in the Big Ten tournament, I think is a little bit more the opposite in the regionals, where this is where you do rely on, if you're going to have a chance, if you're a 3 or a 4 seed, it's because you're probably going to get to that point because you have solid pitching. And I don't think that's not Indiana's
You got to have a really solid 1-2.
Right.
Your first 2 have to be good.
Yeah.
And then you need to win those games. And then when you get to that third starter, I mean, it's a crapshoot, right?
Yep.
So the team, I mean, generally pitching and defense gets you to the College World Series.
Yes.
In this day and age.
I think at this level, there are variations of productive offense. I think today's Nebraska-Florida matchup is a perfect example. And we'll talk more about that matchup, but just from this conversation's example, Florida is, I thought Evan Bland put it very well. It's a very major league like offensive approach. Not meaning they have dudes that are, littered in that lineup that are going to be major league players. Jack Caglione is, but it's a 3 result type of offensive approach. It's a walk, it's a home run, or it's a strikeout. There's not a lot of in between. It's not an overly aggressive team on the base path. They're not going to small ball you to death. They're not going to usually play the situation. If there's runners at first and second, but they're 3 or 4 hole hitters up, guess what? They're going to try to move them over via the hit, not via the sacrifice. Nebraska, my biggest concern about them is their offense, but Nebraska offensively, it's an offense that I think is very typical to when you do have very reliable pitching, where you are just trying to get whatever that team is allowing you to have. So
manufacture 3 runs.
Absolutely. You're trying to get guys on base. You're trying to get the running game going. You're trying to put some pressure on the defense. You're trying to get them to kick the ball around a little bit, force the catcher to make some throws as well, and put pressure on that pitcher when he's working out of the stretch. That's a little bit more their offensive philosophy. Now, what Josh Caron did, you're obviously going to take. What Gabe Swanson did, you're obviously going to take. But that's not the identity of Nebraska's offense. So there's 2 different forms of offense that I think you're going to see throughout this entire field of 64. That's going to be represented throughout the entire college baseball regionals. Is you're going to see certain teams that are going to be very similar to Florida's offensive approach, and you're going to see other teams that are very similar to Nebraska's offensive approach. We were talking about UC Irvine during the break. UC Irvine is going to West Coast baseball you to death, meaning you will hopefully your corners are extremely good, and your middle, basically your entire infield is in constant communication, and your infield is able to make routine plays and is able to throw on the run because they will put the ball down. They will run on you. They will do a lot of different things to try to put pressure, especially on your infield and on your catcher.
Oh, by the way, Irvine's also top 30 in team ERA.
Mm-hmm. Well, think about this. Think about some of the best UC Irvine teams that we've seen. Great pitching, and they play the situational game to a T. But that's what they do in the West Coast. The West Coast game and the West Coast Conference is all situational baseball. You are not going to see guys just getting up, gripping the bat as tight as they can, and just trying to slug the crap out of the baseball. That's not West Coast baseball. It is situational.
That's Tennessee baseball.
Yes. It's not brute baseball. It is hitting behind the runners, getting the running game going, having 3 or 4 guys on your team that have at least 15, if not more, stolen bases. And they feel confident that if you walk them, their eyes light up because now they really get to get their offense going.
Yep.
Again, everybody in this regional, you're going to have at least 2 or 3 guys that could come up at any given moment and give you the benefit of the long ball. Some lineups more than others. But the way that these teams go about their offense, they're fine with it. They're comfortable with it. They know that is obviously got to be there when they have the opportunities. But you're right, John. These regionals, when you have these short regional formats, are absolutely emphasized with what you do on the mound and what you do handling the baseball.
Yeah, especially in some of these smaller parks. Like, if you don't have pitchers who throw strikes, if you're putting guys aboard, you're going to give up multi-run homers because look, not every park is like the Chuck. Right. And in fact, most of them,
a lot of them are like what you're going to see in Stillwater,
pads.
like in Stillwater.
Yeah. So if you don't have pitchers that throw strikes, and if your defense is booting the ball around the field and just giving up free bases, at that point, like, it almost doesn't even matter how good your own offense is.
Right.
Because it just comes back to bite you so hard in so many of these ballparks with, I mean, and it's not the Gorilla Ball era anymore.
No, but
it's not just 9 lumberjacks up there.
But wouldn't you agree that we have seen, I always thought this was it was a conversation that I was almost buying into, that we deadened the bat so badly that we've taken offense out of the college baseball game, that you needed to do something about it, but you didn't want to completely take it out of it because that was such a big part.
The lowered seams a little bit.
Absolutely. I think, and I think many others were foolish to think that we would not adjust when it came to your college baseball player, your modern college baseball player, because remember, a lot of these guys, the reason you saw this such a discrepancy when it first happened in the BB Core era is because a lot of guys are coming up in high school playing with the non-BB Core bats.
Yeah.
Then once they're handed a BB Core bat, I mean, I remember the first time hearing those things. It sounded like a wooden bat.
Yeah.
And so once you're used to it,
ting.
Yeah, it was just more of like and once you get used to swinging a BB Core bat, you're training accordingly. You're able to really focus in on your exit velocity, the types of swings that you're putting on the baseball to elevate it more so than you had to with the non-BB Core bats. you eventually are just used to. That's all you know. And so these guys, this generation of college baseball players, for the majority of their competitive baseball life, that's all they've known is the BB Core bats. And so they've adjusted to that. And you're right about the lowering of the seams a little bit, flattening that so you don't have the crazy spin rate and everything going on, that there's a good balance there. So I do think it's no wonder that we're seeing the home run numbers up at the College World Series, and they continue to be up. And compared to a time where we thought, we're going to have to bring the outfield fences back in because we're not seeing enough home runs. We should have known, just give it time. College baseball will adjust, and we will see the ball flying out there because these athletes, once they get more used to the BB Core bats, and when they start utilizing the BB Core bats at an early age, like the age of 12, 13, 14, you're playing in select ball, then you're in a high school ball, and you're using those BB Core bats, and you realize, okay, I can still get the ball out of here. I just have to change a little bit of how I swing and how I attack a baseball. That's what you're seeing right now. So, but I mean, you remember that. It doesn't feel like it was that long ago. We're like, we need to bring the outfield fences in. There's no home runs. And then when there was a home run, like, that guy should be drafted. Oh, my gosh, you see that? He hit a ball out of Charles Schwab Field.
Remember in the Big Ten tournament when Kyle Schwarber planted one over the right field fence?
What?
It's the longest ball I've ever seen
It
hit
was.
in that stadium to date.
That was an absolute piss missile.
It
was.
He destroyed that ball.
Yeah.
And hey, guess what? Kyle Schwarber's pretty good.
Yeah, he is. And he's
all right.
He's still doing his thing. We are going to get an update from Peter coming up in hour number 2 to kick off the 7 o'clock hour. And then we will dive into the Nebraska football kickoff times. Prime time, Nebraska. All right. You think you got Coach Prime out there in Boulder? Hell, we got primetime Nebraska. But we will get into the significance of what we learned yesterday and year 2, what this can do not only for Nebraska in the immediate future of trying to get to a bowl game, but also when it comes to recruiting and trying to sustain and maintain what they hope will be a lot of roster development and very little turnover, what they've established in a very small sample size with this coaching staff right now. There's a lot about yesterday where there's, like to say, the opportunity, a very big opportunity for Nebraska in year number 2. Glad you're with us as we move into hour number 2 here on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. From the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Pyramid Roofing Time Saving Traffic Center, want to give you a heads up over south of Kennard, Nebraska. Highway 30 is closed in both directions due to law enforcement activity between County Road 25 and 19. Otherwise, the roads are quiet in the Omaha Metro with no accidents to report on this Feel-Good Friday morning. There is stop-and-go traffic on westbound I-80 towards the exit ramp to 144th Street. Hope you have a fantastic weekend. Just be sure to buckle up and drive safe out there. I'm Joey Colbert.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Fernando's.
Mario Street Tacos or steak and chorizo queso blanco enchiladas can only be found in one place. Fernando's. Great Mexican food, awesome margaritas, and a wonderful family atmosphere. Fernando's, Omaha's favorite Mexican for more than 30 years.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
Shop Sid Dillon Chevrolet, Nebraska's #1 volume Chevy dealer group. Visit us in Blair, Crete, Fremont, or Wahoo, or shop at SidDillonChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
You are what drives us, Sid Dillon.
Is reviewing life insurance on your to-do list? Now's the perfect time to add it. A friend recently told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I bumped this up on my list and got it done. I called SelectQuote and couldn't believe how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $16 a month. My husband's also 40 and his $500,000 policy was only $18 a month. Plus, with SelectQuote's same-day coverage, there was no medical exam required, and we were covered by the time we hung up. Knowing I have this checked off my list feels amazing, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better.
Call SelectQuote 1-800-670-5151. That's 1-800-670-5151. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. 1-800-670-5151. Details on example rate at selectquote.com.
Hey, baseball fans, join the Blur Tailgate at Hilton Omaha this June for our 12th annual hospitality event during the College Baseball Championship Series. Book an experience for your clients or employees with an inclusive bar, buffet, TVs, music, and tailgate games. Secure your spot today and let Blur Events take care of all the work so you can enjoy the day. Plus, we're just steps away from Charles Schwab Field. Visit blurevents.com to book your group, buy tickets, or learn about sponsorships. That's blurevents.com, your college baseball and football tailgate destination.
Hey there, Nebraska Lottery fans. It's me, Vanna White. I'm so excited to tell you about the new Wheel of Fortune scratch-off game from the Nebraska Lottery. You could win up to $50,000 instantly, or enter your non-winning tickets at nelottery.com for a chance to win a VIP trip to Los Angeles and a Mega Money Maker event on the set of Wheel of Fortune. You could spin to win some big money.
Wheel of Fortune top prize odds, 1 in 112,000.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Tell us how you feel on the J-Tech Construction and Solar Zone Twitter feed. Reach Gary, Nick, Connor, Josh, and John anytime on the J-Tech Construction and Solar Zone Twitter feed. Contact the official exterior and solar experts of the Huskers. J-Tech Construction at yourexteriorexperts.com.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Update time, Friday edition. It's Friday, y'all.
Inform us, Peter. Inform us.
Let's discuss some stuff.
Okay.
We have our NBA Finals matchup. The Mavericks did not make it a 7-game series. The T-Wolves crashed out, flamed out, Game 5 at home, sad fashion. 124-103. We have our finals. The Mavericks are traveling to Boston. Game 1 will be Thursday, a full week off before that gets underway. Then on the hockey side of things, the Panthers took back home ice advantage with a Game 5 win in the Garden, and they can close out the Eastern Conference Finals on Saturday in Florida. But I also wouldn't be surprised if the Rangers take this thing back to New York. We will see.
Game 7.
We will see. It's Baseball Regional Friday. Games getting underway at 11 a.m. today. An intriguing early window game. Vanderbilt and Coastal Carolina at 11.
Yeah.
2 recent national champions. So that'll be a good watch.
We saw Coastal out here in Omaha not that long ago where Creighton got a
Creighton got some big wins again.
Weird. They got a midweek sweep. What do you know?
And then Nebraska, Florida underway at 2, pending weather. Of course, we're going to keep an eye on that. We'll see if anything changes there. We have kickoff times for football. Lots of new times released yesterday. One of the more notable facts here, 3 consecutive primetime games at Memorial Stadium in the early part of the season. And we are playing under the lights in Iowa City on Black Friday on NBC. So that'll be some good viewing there. The Omaha Sports Commission named Jordy Ball and Baylor Shireman the female and male amateur athletes of the year this year. Congratulations to the 2 of them. Nebraska volleyball, some schedule news, is going to open the season against Kentucky at the KFC Yum Center, where they will also hope to close the season, since that will be the site of this year's Final Four and national championship.
Good little showcase there.
The AVCA First Serve Showcase on August 27th will also feature the Wisconsin Badgers and the Louisville Cardinals playing. Some fun matchups there. And the Storm Chasers swept Indianapolis yesterday in a doubleheader and now lead the AAA International League by 3 games with roughly 3 weeks to go until the end of the first half of the season. Can they hold on and be the first half champions? We will see. But there is the Friday update.
Good stuff. Thank you, Peter. We've got...
Quick question.
Yeah.
Jordy Ball as the female athlete of the year. She barely played. She got hurt.
Yeah.
Jazz Shelley? Anybody from the volleyball team?
Because it was the 2024, I'm sorry, it would have been the... Well, it did span beyond or before 2024, right? Because they had some of the teams involved in the fall of 2023.
I'm not sure what the cutoff was.
So, yeah, I think it's 23, 24. I don't know exactly what. I mean, I would take Jordy Ball's accomplishments in the Women's College World Series a year ago.
She's really good.
But as far as, this season, it's a fair question. I would want to know more about what that spans.
Yeah.
Because, if you take this time last year, she was dealing in the circle for Oklahoma during a national championship run. But obviously this was a very disappointing twist of fate when it came to transferring to Nebraska, what was going to be a huge year. I mean, remember how quickly season tickets sold out for that too?
Yeah.
I was talking about this yesterday. Give Ron and Ravel some credit, though. They know that they've got a healthy Jordy Ball coming back, and they've been loading up on that roster. Yeah. You get
the Kaminzin twins.
Yep, from Scott. And then you get the third-team All-Big Ten shortstop from Wisconsin to replace Billy Andrews. So that could be a strong team next year, assuming Jordy Ball has zero hiccups in her recovery. But all signs pointing to that being the case as far as her being ready to go. Also, with the Omaha Sports Commission, the Oscars.
The Oscars
taking place last night. Big shout out to a guy I know every one of us in this station and in this room right now knows, and Terry Leahy.
I thought this would be a good segue into this.
Yes.
Good old Terry.
Terry has done so many amazing things when it comes to just broadcasting in general, but especially his contributions to the Omaha hockey broadcast from day one of the program's inaugural season to where he is now. He just recently, this last year, had his 1,000th broadcast. That is crazy. Think of that, 1,000th broadcast. And I think now that the tragic passing of his wife Sheila happened a handful of years ago, and I think he's only missed maybe one game in that entire run. Terry is not only he is, and he's not only a consummate pro and is so well versed on so many different things, including hockey and including Omaha hockey and Maverick hockey, but is one of the most genuinely nice and pleasant people to be around at all costs. He only met my son once, and every time it was mutual. We would always go up there to the press floor before hockey games when Reese would go to a game. And Reese was so excited to see Terry, and Terry was equally excited to see Reese. Terry's there to give everybody a hug. He's one of the most pleasant people to be around. What his work has been is more than deserving of whatever award you want to give him. I was so excited to see him get recognized as this. And we had our own John Bishop up for the award too. And John is obviously more than worthy of that award too. But for Terry Leahy, for just one of the really, not only talented, but one of the really great guys in our business. Tip of the cap to you, my friend.
Echo everything you said there. I tend to spend a lot of time talking to Terry during the College World Series. He's always up there in the press box when I'm hanging out up there at the series, and just really enjoy my chats with him because, as you say, just such a nice guy.
Yeah.
Such a tremendous person. Worked here for a lot of years.
Yep. Yes,
doing
he
the
did.
traffic reports.
A lot of traffic and morning news.
And morning news, yeah. Terry was around here when I was first getting started in media, when I was interning with Schick and Nick, and was always willing to take the time to talk, to to come in and, like, if I was producing a bit, we used Terry as a big voice guy for a lot of things, and the answer was always yes.
Yeah.
When I was like, "Hey, I want to do this thing for Schick and Nick. Will you come and be the voice?" Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes. He was always just so willing to help out, and he not that he's like given me a ton of advice on calling games or anything, but any time that I have wanted to talk to him, he's always made the time to have that conversation.
Well, and I'm glad you bring that up, because there are people in this business that, even if they're not volunteering advice, that A, have your back, B, you could go to if you want advice, and if there are conversations going on that your name is brought up around certain people, that person is going to speak extremely highly of you, that you are there to try to help out and expand this local media brand that we have here in the state of Nebraska, as opposed to resisting it. Some people, I think it's just from a competitive nature. It's a competitive business. So I think sometimes your overall competitiveness can kick in to where, whoa, wait, that person eventually might be after my job. So maybe I don't want to say anything about him. That's not in Terry's DNA. Terry wants to help out all the young broadcasters and all of the young people, whether it's broadcasting, whether it's journalism, anything that's relatable to Terry's field. He's always been someone that is willing to, if you need advice, give you advice. If you need a good word put in by a guy that's highly regarded like Terry, he'll do that. No questions asked. He's one of the great guys in our sports media community and in really our Omaha sports community, period, not even in the media. So awesome to see that last night. I thought it was very appropriate after that milestone of 1,000 broadcasts with the Omaha hockey broadcast, which we're lucky to have here on our sister station. So that was really, really cool. And also, I wasn't there last night, but seeing a lot of the different images and videos, Omaha Sports Commission, they do a fantastic job of putting this on annually. A lot of the people that are contributing to this are volunteers. Now, the Omaha Sports Commission, they have a very solid team. Lindsay Toussaint Brown is a friend of ours, friend of mine, and she does a great job with it. But everybody involved, her team did such a good job. But also a lot of people that contribute to sports from the media standpoint that show up once a month to meetings to help out with this. And they've been around for a long time doing this. They're not getting paid to do this. They're just trying to put on a really cool recognition for all of our area athletes, area teams, whether it be high school, whether it be college, and even the occasional pros. And to put on that recognition, I know it's very well received by the entire Omaha community. So hats off to the Omaha Sports Commission as well. When we come back, we will step aside and then we'll come back and we will dig into the big news with Nebraska's football release, the kickoff time release of a lot of games yesterday, and the thoughts especially on your Black Friday plans. Are you cool with having a 6:30 game, whether it be in Iowa City or if we do this again in Lincoln? We'll discuss that and more coming up next.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10 on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. The Connor Happer Show.
Chris writes in on Twitter, there will be no missing Angel Hernandez. Absolutely none. He's terrible, and I'm truly happy to see him go. Do you at all feel bad for a human man, Angel Hernandez, who just so happens to be just awful at his job? Do you at all feel like, all right, he's retiring, we should just let it go, rather than pile on, happy to see you go, rotten hell, you know?
The Connor Happer Show. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
A chance for more spotty showers and thunder showers throughout the day Friday with heavy rain potential. Otherwise, expect mostly cloudy conditions, a tad cooler with highs in the low to mid 70s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Pyramid Roofing Time Saving Traffic Center. Want to give you a heads up over south of Canard, Nebraska. Highway 30 is closed in both directions due to law enforcement activity between County Road 25 and 19. Otherwise, the roads are quiet in the Omaha Metro with no accidents to report on this feel-good Friday morning. There is stop-and-go traffic on westbound I-80 towards the exit ramp to 144th Street. Hope you have a fantastic weekend. Just be sure to buckle up and drive safe out there. I'm Joey Colbert.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by IBEW Local 22.
The electrical market requires your company to adjust to an ever-changing field. IBEW Local 22 gives you flexibility with access to journeymen, apprentices, and proven training programs. Call Bob at IBEW Local 22 for details at 402-980-7596.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call in the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
Eric was way behind on his taxes.
I owed a lot of money to the IRS, almost $15,000. I tried to make payments.
The IRS wasn't satisfied with Eric's efforts, so they came after him full force.
They're coming to put a lien and a hold on all my income, my home, my car. I was just overwhelmed at what to do.
Then Eric called Optima Tax Relief.
When Optima Tax got involved, the calls would stop, the threats would stop. It was easy like 1, 2, 3.
Optima Tax Relief is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and their team of expert tax professionals took care of Eric's problem.
I owe $15,000, and now my debt is clean. I don't owe anything.
Take Eric's advice.
If you have a tax problem, you need to call Optima Tax now.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
My taco pie is really something special, and it can't be imitated. It starts with my zesty taco sauce, seasoned beef, onions, lettuce, tomatoes, mounds of cheddar, and mozzarella cheese. This pie is the real deal. For a limited time, build your own feast with the specialty pizza, like my taco pie, a one-topping pizza, and cinnamon monkey bread. Do yourself a favor and order. Today, Godfather's Pizza. Do it.
For generations, hardworking people have relied on Ford F-Series trucks to help grow businesses, communities, families. A legacy of capability and technology that has made Ford F-Series America's best-selling trucks 47 years straight. This is the next generation of Built Ford Tough. Based on 1977 to 2023 calendar year total sales.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to speak?
Too hard. Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 10 minutes a day.
10 minutes isn't long.
Nope. And they're fun.
Fun isn't hard.
Right. Babbel's interactive lessons, podcasts, games, and more make languages fun and engaging. You might even forget you're learning. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life. Babbel teaches language skills you'll actually use, about travel, business, relationships, and more. You'll learn what matters most to you. Plus, Babbel's lessons are designed to get you having real conversations in as little as 3 weeks.
Just 3 weeks? Even better.
Since Babbel's lessons are voiced by real native speakers, you'll get pronunciation just right and be able to carry on conversations with confidence.
Learning a language with Babbel doesn't take long. And with Babbel, it isn't hard. It's perfect.
Get Babbel. It starts here. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Roofing, siding, and gutters. Make the right call with the rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Chances are, if you saw it, though, you also are.
Yeah. Well, we just
Why
saw
are we
a
talking
little,
about this?
We just saw a little news update.
Yeah.
That another.
I don't like this, guys.
Another
Titanic
person
again.
with far too much money that they don't know what to do with is going to go to the Titanic wreckage site.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Have we not learned our lesson?
No, absolutely not.
Well, we were
Peter.
talking about some of the at some point, maybe you've had a conversation with your buddies. Maybe you played a little game of, hey, what would be the worst way to go? I would put imploding right up there. But you bring up a good point. It would be very quick. I just think from a visual standpoint, if you saw someone imploding, that would probably stay with you for a very long time. Yeah, I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't like that. No.
What video game controller are we taking down there this time to control the whole operation?
Hopefully it's not Xbox 360.
Just patched together.
I don't mean to chuckle about people who lost their lives, but the fact that they're doing this again,
we run this one on a Nintendo Switch.
Is this too soon? Maybe maybe going back down there to try to
can we just go back
keep
to
the
drawing
tours going?
board?
Yeah, let's maybe we might want to think tank this a little bit more. I don't know.
Send the camera down. How about that?
Would you want to be the person that's on the maiden voyage, the return to the Titanic wreckage after the last time this happened and people died? I would be like,
if you're curious about the Titanic, just send an email to James Cameron, who has been there numerous times.
He has,
and
actually.
has
That's
all
true.
the information. Just to be like, hey, what about this? He'll tell you what you need to know. You don't have to go down there.
I got a great website for you.
Didn't he go on
It's
one
called
of those
Wikipedia?
Didn't he go on one of those launches, like the one that actually the ill-fated one? Didn't he? I thought he was on one of those. I don't call them cruises, but on one of those
expeditions.
The expedition, the submerging.
Well, they had like a proper
Well, they had
submersible.
a James Cameron one.
He is like a
the guy got
ocean explorer.
Yeah, the guy's got hovercrafts.
He's
he knows what he's doing.
There was a museum exhibit here a few years ago about his ocean exploring that he did. It was really cool. He's been down there a lot, but I don't know.
Yeah.
His goal in life wasn't just to make 16 and 17-year-old girls cry.
My favorite oceanographic explorer is Steve Zissou.
Let's get into this. Favorite ocean explorer?
The skipper.
That's a deep cut for
Gilligan
movie fans. The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou is
the professor.
A movie.
I'm trying to think of all the Gilligan's Islands characters that would be on mine. I'm not very smart, John, so I'm gonna yield to the cinematic aspect of this.
I don't know that I'm old enough to make Gilligan's Island references.
That's fair. So yesterday we learned several kickoff times for Nebraska. So we'll run those down for you in case you missed it. If you missed it, I don't know what you were doing yesterday, but maybe you had things going on. So week 1, we know that Nebraska will open up against University of Texas El Paso at 2:30. What's interesting about that one? Yeah, the Miners. That it's some people I know in that area call it Hell Paso because it gets very hot.
It's not a great place.
Yeah, I've never been there. Have you been there?
I've driven through it. We stopped and had breakfast there, driving from.
Well, I can see them having good breakfast
Texas. Yeah, it was. I mean, I don't remember much about it, so it couldn't have been too bad.
Okay,
but I just remember the landscape being like, well, there's not much to see here.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've heard. But that's a 2:30 kickoff, and that will be on Big Fox. So Nebraska kicking things off in week 1, August 31st, 2:30 on Big Fox. Week 2, as you already know, and this was announced earlier, Colorado, Nebraska, that'll be the prime time on NBC and Peacock. But this is where we start getting some more kickoff times. Week 3, September 14th versus Northern Iowa. No, and that one is going to be a night game. That will be on the Big Ten Network. We knew last week that Nebraska would then play their Friday game at home in Lincoln, September 20th against Illinois. That's 7 p.m. Big Fox. You knew that already. Here's some of the additions. Week 5, September 28th at Purdue. That'll be an 11 a.m. kickoff. The network is still yet to be determined. And then on week 6, October 5th, home against Rutgers. That network is to be determined, and that it will either be in the 11 a.m. or 2:30 time slot for Nebraska.
Yeah, it could be 11, it could be 2:30, or it could be 3.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And 3's in there as well. Good call. But this is the one that got a lot of attention, and we found this out right as we were getting done with the crossover. And it was Matt Fortuna who was the first to report this, that you're going to have this amazing day on Black Friday. So here's the lineup as it stands on Black Friday. This is pretty cool. You get Minnesota at Wisconsin. That was another big announcement that they're going to play on Black Friday. So Madison will host that installment of The Axe, Paul Bunyan's Axe, at 11 a.m. on CBS. Then you get Raiders and Chiefs, NFL, on Amazon Prime. And then your nightcap. Not an NFL game, but the Heroes Trophy Showdown between Nebraska and Iowa at 6:30 on NBC and Peacock. How about that for your Black Friday viewing, friends?
I don't know if you saw this. There are the SEC is trying to get in on Black Friday now too.
Mm-hmm.
The Egg Bowl is going to be played on Black Friday.
Yep.
Mississippi State, and Georgia's going to play Georgia Tech on Black Friday as well.
Now, weren't we getting the Egg Bowl on Thanksgiving night?
Yeah, it's usually around 6.
They're moving it to Black Friday, and then the Georgia Tech game also is going to be Black Friday at night.
Plus, now we'll have that NFL game on Black Friday. So no shortage of Black Friday football. I do get a kick out of on these when they do initially release about 4 or 5 of these game times. The ones that they aren't sure about always crack me up. Like at Indiana, it's listed as 11 a.m. or 2:30 or 3 or 6:30. So every time slot that's possible.
It's the same with
Could
USC.
be any of these.
That's where if you go to Huskers.com and you look at their schedule, they don't even put it. That's just a good old fat TBA because they're like, we don't know, and we're not going to throw all those possibilities there. Well, basically, any time that's available could fall under our kickoff window.
The USC game could be at 2:30, could be at 3. Could be at 6:30.
Yeah, I'm very confident.
Be at 10.
Very confident that one will not be at 11 a.m. though.
Could be at 2 a.m. Who knows? We might get crazy overnight
Big
football.
Big 10 after dark.
Play Big 10 after
Big
dark.
10
on
after
the West
dark,
Coast.
folks. Hello, friends. That doesn't even turn into friends. Like, hello out there. We've got Big 10 after dark. Yeah, just slide into those covers. Watch the Trojans. The Trojan man.
There's 20 people.
Take it on, Little Red.
I got another question.
Yep.
Is the Heroes Trophy game the worst possible name for a rivalry series? Especially when it's Nebraska, Iowa.
Spirit
and you could have
of
done something with corn or something fun. Instead, we said, it's the Heroes Trophy.
What do you got against Heroes? Jeez.
I don't have anything
Heroes save the
Heroes.
day all the time.
John is pro-villain.
Apparently you are.
But like the corn,
you rooted for the Joker, didn't you?
I did.
Yep.
The Joker was cool, man.
You thought Bane was pretty badass.
Bane was pretty badass.
Tom Hardy, man. Tom Hardy, he did a good job. But come on, really? No, it's. I get what you're saying. Like
it's just so milk toast. Like
it is. The spirit of it is fine. The spirit of it is fine because you're recognizing people who have positively contributed to each state, and it's a contest, or you get nominated, and then there's a committee that can we get on that committee? I have a lot of questions. How do I vote? Can I vote?
But there are so many cool ones, like Paul Bunyan's axe, the Floyd of Rosedale, the old oaken bucket, like there's a bell. Isn't there a bell?
Well, there's always the victory bell.
The victory bell.
Then there's the. Is there a bell in the Big Ten? There's the victory bell. I'm trying to remember.
There was the Missouri-Nebraska bell.
Yeah, that was the bell I'm thinking of. There's a lot of. I mean, let's face it. If every game you play is not a trophy game in the Big Ten, then clearly you're not doing it right. Because every game is supposed to be.
The brass spittoon.
There is the brass spittoon, which is great.
I did see a little screen grab of early renderings for the new college football game. They'll be all over the trophy games.
Like
I missed those.
Yeah, by the way, the details of that is supposed to be coming out right before we get off the air, boys. So be ready.
You can live break it down on the crossover.
Even Nebraska, Wisconsin with the $5 bits of broken chair.
That one's really funny.
It's great.
Yeah, one's funny.
Fun.
And they don't recognize that as a actual official.
Well, they should.
Game. That's where that's where Snooty Big Ten comes in. How many people realize that Nebraska and Wisconsin actually play for a trophy?
that nobody actually knows where it is at this point. Like,
nope. I don't
been
think they
lost.
Could be a doorstop somewhere.
Looking at a list
somewhere
of
in Madison.
rivalry names, not all of these have a trophy, but some of the names are hilarious. Like, I have never heard of the 100 Miles of Hate.
Oh.
Middle Tennessee and Western Kentucky.
That's fun.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Let's see. When there's some, the Bronze Stock Trophy goes to the winner of Ball State, Northern Illinois.
Nebraska's involved in the Heroes Trophy and the Freedom Trophy. What about Nebraska, Wisconsin signifies let's play for the Freedom Trophy? It just
dumb.
It's
corporate
that one.
and boring.
I thought the Nebraska, Wisconsin one was a bit forced. Nebraska, Iowa, there was going to be a trophy, sure. I hear you on the Heroes part of it. You could have done something maybe a little bit more agriculture.
Or something just more fun.
I think the Freedom Trophy so
not just
vague.
corporate and pandering. Like, come on.
Yeah. It's like, well, we got to get Nebraska involved in some trophy games. So what do we call them?
It's supposed to be fun. Like, make it interesting.
Yes, I agree. You will get no pushback from me on that. But the one that I always felt is funny that I feel like we constantly have to remind people is, did you know, because it was a little bit later, it was far after the Heroes Trophy was introduced to the Nebraska-Iowa game. Then all of a sudden they thought, you know what? Maybe it's just as simple as Nebraska and Wisconsin kind of look like each other with their uniforms. And at one point they were both Adidas schools. Let's make a trophy game for them. Let's see. Well, okay. What common links?
We already did Heroes.
Why don't they call it the Alvarez Trophy? He played at Nebraska. He was a coach and athletic director at Wisconsin. Let's have the Alvarez Trophy. But no, it's like
the battle for Barry.
Who could ever have a problem with a trophy named after freedom? You're right. Let's call it the Freedom Trophy.
I have a problem with it.
Yeah. Sometimes it's okay not to have a trophy game.
And
not all games have to have a trophy.
Like, if you're going to have a trophy game, use some creativity.
Mm-hmm.
Name it something fun. The Freedom Trophy.
Like, seriously, the best trophy game that Nebraska's involved in, it's not even recognized as an official trophy game, and that is the $5 bits, or the $5 bits of broken chair.
Yeah.
That's the best one.
Invented by Faux Pellini.
And what they've done with it is actually pretty cool, because now you have Minnesota and Nebraska. They raise money for charitable causes for that game. And I think they've had, I don't know if it's been some of the teammates chapters at one point have stepped in. I just know that they actually do raise money for charities around an unofficial trophy game, which is great. So good stuff is coming out of it.
But that's how trophy games are supposed to start, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be this organic, like, not at all corporatized. Like, these two teams don't like each other and they play football against each other. And now we have a randomly named trophy, like a bronze pig named Floyd.
Floyd. And Floyd looks heavy. When they snag Floyd from the respective sideline, Floyd looks heavy. Boy, I remember the Heroes Trophy when Nebraska won it the Casey Thompson year and the Trey Palmer year. That they had it wasn't necessarily a doorstop, but it wasn't displayed proudly like a lot of the previous conference championships from back in the day and the national championships. I think it was in the players lounge, and it was just randomly hanging out over kind of by where the bar is. It was, there it is. That's the hero, that's the Heroes Trophy right there. I was always wondering where that was.
That's where I left that.
That shows you how much attention. And I would say the same thing for the Iowa side of it. I think they probably put more stock into Floyd and then the Cyhawk.
Yeah.
They're probably like, we don't care about this thing.
We need Missouri and Oklahoma.
You know why?
You put on the good optics and you snag the trophy and you hold it up. You're like, yeah. And then once you go in the locker room, you're like, all right, coach, what do you want us to do with this thing? Now, Nebraska, they did it the right way because they had won in so long the previous year, where they were taking pictures of it. They were smoking cigars and they were, I'm assuming, I don't know this to be true, but maybe they were drinking out of it. I have no idea. It was like their own Stanley Cup. But yeah, that is one thing that has always annoyed me in the Big Ten. If there's already the long-standing trophy games that exist, who am I to say that's stupid because I'm just new to the Big Ten? But when you start to create and really force these new trophy games, they're not really organic. Tony Petitti, if you want to do something wild and creative, just let people know, because there's going to, we got now USC, UCLA, they got to play for a trophy. Oregon, Washington, they got to play for a trophy. Hell, Oregon and Nebraska, the old San Diego of the Big Ten, will have to have a trophy game against UCLA or USC. The old West Coast team versus the actual West Coast teams.
Oregon and Washington have a rivalry game.
Do they have a trophy?
But there's no trophy.
Yeah, see, gotta have a trophy. It's not rivalry. There's a good question.
Is it a rivalry?
Is it a rivalry if you don't have a trophy? Oklahoma, Nebraska, they didn't play for a trophy.
Notre Dame and USC play for the jeweled shillelagh.
That is a cool.
We need
the
Missouri and Oklahoma to link up again soon. The Tiger Sooner Peace Pipe.
Yep, that's a good one.
That is a good one.
That is a good
one. By the way, going to the Equitable Bank inbox, Mark wants to know, what is the chance the USC game is not 10 p.m.? I'd have to look at USC schedule as far as how many primetime affairs that they have, but
getting Big Ten in prime time with big viewing audiences on the West Coast in the first year of USC in the Big Ten, I would say the chances are fairly good.
I think you're going to, whether it's Nebraska, USC, you're going to see, I think, some notable teams, old Big Ten, new Big Ten, in that window, because think about Pac-12 after dark. It maybe would involve a decent Oregon or USC, maybe a Washington, maybe a couple of years when Washington State was good. But how many marquee matchups did you ever have that
seemed like
went
it was
beyond the
always
normal
Arizona
prime time? Right, yes.
Pac-12
Or
after dark.
ASU.
Yeah.
I felt like Colorado played a lot of late games too.
Because nobody cared.
Right. If it's a good question, Mark. If it's not Nebraska, USC, I think you're going to see, because that would make sense. It's actually a good point. It would make sense from the standpoint of very recognizable brands, especially some old school brands too, like old school successful brands. Not saying that either one of them won't be successful this year, but the power of the brand nonetheless.
The eyeballs that
Yes.
will be tuning in
is a big draw
in that 8 o'clock West Coast window.
Yeah.
And you're like, what else is going to be on in the other time zones that anybody's going to be paying attention
Exactly.
to? They will dominate the ratings if they put that game on.
I'm really curious to see when
At 8
Big
o'clock West
Ten
Coast.
does have some of those later kickoffs, more of the Pac-12-esque, the type of numbers it will do compared to when you saw Pac-12 after dark. I mean, it'll do better.
Yes.
Because Big Ten fan base, sans Rutgers, maybe Maryland, is always pretty strong at watching the product. And a lot of the fan bases that are involved in it are usually pretty rabid. I can't really say that for the Pac-12 fans, especially the ones that were typically involved. I mean, even years at Arizona and Arizona State, like Arizona had a great year last year, but how many people like die hard, bear down Arizona fans were tuned in to the late night games? And I get it. It's not as late out there, but yeah, I don't know. It'll be better. It's a good question though, Mark. This would, and if that were the case, my gosh, you talk about the run of night games that Nebraska has that I want to get into after our next break. But John brings this up too. It says, remember when Nebraska was about the only game on Black Friday? I believe that this year there will be approximately 73 games on Black Friday.
Everyone's horning in on our thing.
I know.
I just want to echo the sentiments of Rick on the YouTube stream. Like, I'm not a kickoff times guy. I don't really care. I don't care when they play. And let's be honest, you don't care when they play. You're going to watch it if you're not in the stadium. Whenever it's on, you're going to be watching it because you're a fan.
Yeah.
So you don't actually care when the game is on.
Right.
And like, we get way deep in the weeds.
There's certain fan bases, and we have that here, that they could care less. Like we might initially bitch and moan about, oh, why is that too early or why is that too late? But at the end of the day, remember Fresno State, Nebraska, when they played at 9 p.m., we were getting out of, if you're watching the game at your local watering hole, like they were hitting up last call before the game actually ended, but you didn't care. You you made a thing of it.
That's when they rocked the all-white jersey.
They did. That actually reeks of a if they do the 9 p.m. game again, that reeks of just primetime garage parties.
Oh, yeah.
Rick said,
we're going to rent the big screen, put the projector in the driveway.
Absolutely. I like Joseph's idea, by the way, on the stream. He said, need to do the Battle for the West with USC and have a John Wayne statue or something. Hell yeah. Now we can get into a trophy that I can get behind.
Yeah.
You have John Wayne.
But John Wayne was born in Iowa.
Okay, that's a problem. But still, we were the
USC.
westernmost Big Ten school before all these West Coast schools came into our conference. Let's have it. The old West versus the new West.
The Pierce Lydon Trophy. That's what we can do. If you don't know who that is, he was a Western film star. He was
they're going to say a Western porn star.
Just after the silent film era. He was like an early Old West actor who was born in Nebraska.
Oh.
And there was actually, when I was a kid, the Pierce Lydon Festival.
You know what we could do? And this hits home with me.
So.
Because I went to high school with him. We could have the Chris Klein Trophy.
You could do that one.
Who I believe still resides in California, but he was a proud Millard South / Millard West guy.
Mm-hmm.
So we could have, we could start going Hollywood. I feel like if you got any involvement with LA teams, whether it be UCLA or USC, that you could definitely introduce the Hollywood element. We've had some actors and actresses come from our state. Where's Gabrielle Union living at these days? She in California?
The Henry Fonda
She
Trophy.
in Miami?
The Henry Fonda Trophy.
The fight in Fonda?
Yeah.
Oh,
the fight
I like
for
it.
Fonda.
The fight for Fonda.
Yeah.
Ooh. All right. That's really good. I like that, man.
Let's take it to the trademark
Take
office.
it to Tony Petiti. Let's go to Rosemont,
Tony,
boys.
we have something.
We do. And we know you all like your trophies. Before this becomes official with all of those four teams joining, we're going to have trophies ready for them.
Of Fonda.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that. All right, when we return.
For some reason, he's holding a football. Like nobody knows.
Well,
why.
yeah, he's got it.
He's
It's just because we're playing football too, so we got
holding a football and an old film camera.
Mm-hmm. Like it's good. When we return, I want to get into the significance of these night games, especially that Black Friday game. What Nebraska, where they've missed, and what could be on the horizon for this football program under Matt Rule when it comes to these opportunities and its potential impact for years to come. We'll get into that next.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. Omaha's most listened to all sports radio station. Again and again and again. 1620 The Zone.
I'm Dave Osted. And I'm Ryan Osted. I think my first memory of golf is playing with my dad at a par 3 course. It was an absolute blast, and he always would have an ice cream hole. So if I got an 8 or less, we'd be going for ice cream. My first memory of golf really focused on driving the golf cart, being able to drive that cart. You were a crazy driver. I was a crazy driver, but it was what I look forward to. And what's really funny now, when I take my kids out play golf, that is the one thing, along with the snack bar, that they are most excited about. Focus on the good stuff. Play better, have fun, and shop Osted's.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. If you were exposed to toxic substances in the military, a new law called the PACT Act may make you eligible for extra benefits and care. The PACT Act benefits veterans of the Vietnam, Gulf War, and post 9/11 eras. Learn more at va.gov/PACT or call 1-800-MyVA411.
Hello? Jan, it's Kay. Are you and Rich free for dinner tonight? I'm making pizza.
Sounds great. What time?
6 p.m.?
Sorry, can't do it. Wheel of Fortune is on and Rich won't miss it.
You're kidding.
Nope. He's seen every episode since 1975. He won't budge.
Listen, tell him if he comes, we'll buy him a bunch of Wheel of Fortune scratch tickets from the Nebraska Lottery.
Won't work. He has to see the show.
That's just it. Until July 30th, if Rich enters any non-winning $5 Wheel of Fortune scratch ticket online, he could win the ultimate fan trip to Los Angeles, including airfare and accommodations. He'll also win tickets to a live taping of Wheel of Fortune and get to spin the big wheel to win at least $2,000.
That might work. Could you do just one other thing?
Sure. What?
Could you write free spin and pepperoni on every other slice of pizza?
Why don't you just come at 7?
Wheel of Fortune top prize odds, 1 in 112,000.
The headlines remind us daily the world is a dangerous place. The elites in charge say everything's fine, stop noticing. But you know better. And your gut knows that time is short to prepare for a world that is 4 missed meals away from chaos. My Patriot Supply has helped over 3 million families become more self-reliant and is the company Americans trust to prepare. Go to mypatriotsupply.com and secure their best-selling 3-month emergency food kits. Each contain delicious breakfasts, lunches, and dinners, averaging over 2,000 calories per day. Secure at least one food kit for each family member. For a limited time, save $200, plus get free shipping on all their Ready Hour 3-month emergency food kits. You're not ready if it's not Ready Hour Foods. My Patriot Supply also has solar power generators, water filtration units, biomass stoves, heirloom seeds, and critical survival gear. Shop mypatriotsupply.com today. mypatriotsupply.com.
If there's one thing that you can count on every spring, it's that we're going to have to deal with some hail. J-Tech Construction is the company to call to make it right again. J-Tech Construction specializes in siding, roofing, windows, and gutters, even solar. They're trained for insurance claims assistance, and they can help with your insurance company. Turn to the team the Huskers turn to, J-Tech Construction. Use your favorite search engine to find J-Tech Construction online and schedule a free estimate today.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's business cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp for free. Just go to ramp.com/sports. Ramp.com/sports. ramp.com/sports.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Still to come on the show, we're going to talk to Matt Versall the 9 o'clock hour. If we had hot mics during the commercial. Just some stories, just some strolling down memory lane as we were getting into what the most appropriate trophy would be for Nebraska and West Coast teams, including the LA market. We've got some actors that we would like to introduce the Big Ten to.
Fight for Fonda.
Yep, I like that one.
I'm stumping it.
Yep, you could call it. Yep, there's some good ones in there. So a lot of talk. I don't know if you guys probably talked about this on After Hours too. The Athlon Sports anonymous coaches that weigh in on other teams. Essentially,
we have not gotten into that.
Okay, so Athlon does this every year, and Steve Sipple, man, he's got me thinking that this may not actually be real. Thank you, Sip. Sip is not. He's not afraid to question the establishment if he smells something. But essentially, Athlon does this every year, and what you get is Big Ten coaches from a coaching staff. It could be any type of staffer. It could be a DC. It could be an OC. It could be a recruiting coordinator. I mean, it could be. I have no idea. We've never found out the actual role of any of these coaches that Athlon polls on this, and so it's always a coach though that will have the team that they're talking about. They will have that team on their schedule coming up. So, and it's a Big Ten team. So this could be Illinois, Purdue, Rutgers, Indiana, Ohio State. Heck, maybe they talk to UCLA or Southern Cal, Wisconsin, Iowa. The breakdown from anonymous coach about Nebraska was largely positive. And you remember a couple of years ago where a coach had labeled Nebraska we call them the all bus team because they look the part, they get off the bus, you're like, dang, they look good.
That sounds like a PJ Fleck comment.
And it could be. And I don't even Sip brought up a good point. Like what coaches, if they were asked, hey, we want you to talk about this team, but don't worry, we're not going to use your name. How many coaches would be like, yeah, okay. Maybe they would. Maybe it's a lot easier. But I thought Sip brought up a good question there. Anywho, if you get to the Nebraska breakdown in the past, it was more pointed at the culture. For whatever reason, they can't win close games, undisciplined. Yeah, they look the part, all bus team, all of those things. This one was largely positive. And I think the consistency of the national conversation around Nebraska is a lot of optimism for year two. And these are coming from a lot of national college football writers that will always give the disclaimer of, I tend to do this with Nebraska almost every year. And look, we know we have our variations of that.
It's natural, right?
It is.
When you have a program of the stature of Nebraska that's been down for a long time, you always just have this belief that, okay, eventually they're going to turn it around. One of these years I'm going to be right, and this is the turnaround.
It's a matter of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think what a lot of people are pointing to after giving that disclaimer is, which I'm happy about this because I believe this as well. I think sometimes we tend to go off of either a program's reputation or a coach's reputation of previous stops that, well, in year two, they did this at this spot. Year two, they did it at that spot. And obviously Matt Rule is a big part of that conversation, given what he did at Temple and at Baylor in his second year, where you saw significant progress there. And Matt Rule himself has said they feel like they're much further ahead after year one or even in year one than he was at the previous two stops at Temple and Baylor. But I think at this point, if you're really to dig into the optimism of Nebraska, if you really want to have that type of optimism, I think you got to see what's going on in the now, not what was done in previous stops. Because as you know, John, every situation is different. It's going to be unique to your roster, your personnel, your settings, your fan base, all of the things that you have there. But when I look at the things that are being done, and you're getting a little bit more access to that, but also what is being said from Matt Rule, what is being said from his coaches, there's an alignment there that I think what is being said and then what you're seeing as far as the work that's being done is very consistent. Then you start to look at the moves that have been made when it comes to upgrading the roster. When you look at who they've addressed in the transfer portal, knowing, okay, well, quarterback play was really bad last year as far as the mistakes and just having the simplicity of completing your more basic throws. Sure, that's a quarterback thing that we got to figure out if you're the coaching staff, but also we need our receivers to step up as well. Now, you had some injury issues. You had, people forget you had Xavier Betts leave the team right before last year as well. Isaiah Garcia Castaneda gets injured for the year. So essentially,
Marcus Washington.
Marcus Washington during the season. So essentially, you're stuck with nothing against Alex Bullock. I mean, he stepped up and
but he's a walk-on.
He is a walk-on, or true freshmen that are untested that you just can't expect them from day one to be able to hit the ground running at a high level. That you didn't have a lot to work with on that standpoint too. And I would like to think that if you did, other than really Thomas Fidone, who's a tight end, you didn't have one true reliable target that you could count on more times than not. That I think that also plays into the lackluster play at quarterback. So what do? They address that with not one, but two, I think, not only sizable guys, but guys that have various college football experience on top of what is going to be a sophomore class that you would like to think is going to take a major step forward, including Jalen Lloyd, but even a healthy Malachi Coleman. Then I also look at, obviously, what they did at quarterback. Even though he's a true freshman and you can't just put the weight of the world of expectations on him on day one, there's a guy that at the very least, if he can give you an above average performance on the whole this year, you think that area is...
Let's be honest. He should.
Absolutely. Even as a true freshman, John. I have no problem saying that.
Recruit that he has been labeled to be, he should at least give you that.
Yes. I have zero problem saying that as a true freshman. I know there's a lot of people that say, well, you got to pump the brakes on him. You got to pump the brakes. Look,
you do.
None of us are saying he needs to be an all Big Ten type performer in year one. No. We're not saying that. We're just talking about adequate quarterback play, which even as a true freshman with the skill set that he has and an experienced offensive line, and I get it that that's a question mark because the reviews on the offensive line the last couple of years have been mixed. There's a lot of things.
Much better last year, though, I would say.
Especially the way they finished. I would agree that he should be adequate. If you can get adequate quarterback play on top of what should be a very solid defensive front, we'll see what the back end looks like, that there's a lot of parts of what they're preaching as far as culture and everything, which I think you look at the results of the lack of transfers. There's a lot of things there that point to what Matt Rule's preaching, he's also practicing. And this team seems to be connected as such. Those are the things to me that I can believe in a year two jump because I'm watching that develop in front of my eyes as opposed to, well, he did it at this place, so naturally he's just going to do it again. And then there's the whole schedule part, and that's why I bring up these primetime games. I kind of fell victim to this in year two under Scott Frost. Had nothing to do with his second year at Central Florida where they went undefeated, although people would point to that. I fell victim to, it's a little bit easier of a schedule in year two. That's why I think there could be a decent jump for Scott Frost. As we learned,
we all still believed he was a great coach.
Absolutely, we did. Because remember how they finished year one.
Yep.
And they go 0-6, but then they win their last 4 of 6. So you're thinking, okay, it's heading in the right direction. Absolutely.
Well, they were, in some places, a preseason top 25 team in year two.
Well, in 2019, there was a lot of hype for that team. There was a lot of hype. And I think there's a lot of comparisons to 2019 year two for Scott Frost and now 2024 year two for Matt Rule. But what I would say is just use your eyes and your instincts on what you're hearing the coach say, but also what you're seeing them execute practice as much as you can without him watching an actual game of significance. And it has a different feeling, in my opinion, because I feel like the way that they're going about it and creating competition in key areas and key roster spots, the way that they've addressed certain positions of need in the transfer portal and the type of players that they're bringing in from that standpoint. I do think the retention is a big part of these guys genuinely wanting to be a part of Nebraska football and what they're trying to accomplish. Then you look at the prime time, because it's a similar situation with the first 7 games, as opposed to the back end of the schedule where it looks more maneuverable. That I would say, then you get in those primetime opportunities as early as week 2 against Colorado, which we can say what we will about Colorado. Colorado will have talent areas. You know they are going to have a very good quarterback. Shedeur Sanders is very good. He just is, whether you like him or not.
They'll have talent on the starting lineup. Mm-hmm. Like the 2 deep is a different story.
Right, the depth, absolutely. But you get these primetime opportunities where Colorado, especially that early in the season, will still be a big story. It's going to be on a national stage. People are going to be tuned in. I can't tell you that Northern Iowa at 6:30 on BTN is going to be a huge prime national stage. But Illinois, the following week on a Friday night in Lincoln on Big Fox, another primetime stage. That Iowa game in Iowa City, 6:30, primetime. By that point, again, there's a lot that goes on during the season when it comes to injuries and what have you. But at that point, if you've stayed relatively healthy and you've been able to see that development that we feel strongly that this coaching staff is all about, you would see this product hopefully looking like its best by the time you get to that primetime matchup. Okay. So there's a lot of opportunities there for not only Nebraska, if there is that year 2 jump to take place, you're going to see that on a national stage. But then I think about, is this the year that you can finally start for your future recruiting classes say, look
proof's
at that.
In the pudding.
Yep. Look at that. We're not selling you on a vision anymore. Look at that. Look at that guy. Look at that sophomore. Look at that freshman.
Thing.
Look at this junior. All these guys we've developed, and look at how good collectively we're playing as a team.
I think they're going to be better. And I think there is going to be a year 2 jump. The thing I keep saying, though, and this is my pump the brakes moment. Like, you're returning a roster, large portion of which was a part of a 5-win season a year ago. So, like, when I hear people say, they're going to win 10 games, Hold on.
No, I'm not going. I'm not going.
Hold the phone.
I'll tell you right
okay?
now, as I sit on the last day of May, John, I'm at 7.
I'm at 7 as well.
Yeah, I think it's kind of been consensus throughout this building. I think a lot of us have been at 7. I think one person, it might be Bishop, I think, who is willing to possibly go more.
A 2-game jump from a year ago, given everything, with a true freshman quarterback, would be good. That's a good jump.
I agree.
That, don't start getting all in your feelings if Nebraska doesn't win 9 games this year.
No.
Because that is a hard jump to make, especially with a true freshman starting at quarterback. Even as bad as it was under center last year, you've got a freshman.
Yep.
The guy's never played in a college football game in his career. If they win 7 games, we should feel pretty good about that this season. If they win any less than that, then we have some questions.
Agreed.
To ask.
I agree. And even a 6-6, would you say, hey, well, they're finally back to a bowl game.
At 6-6, you lost a couple of games you shouldn't have.
Right. And I think in that scenario, context would be very, very important.
How did it happen?
Right.
And when did it happen?
Right. Who'd you beat as opposed to who'd you lose to? What did your roster look like? Were there some key guys out? All those things.
And if Nebraska loses to Colorado, I can hear it right now. If they lose to Colorado, that is going to upset a lot, me included, because I do not want to see Colorado dancing on the 50-yard line at Memorial Stadium.
Yep.
That is my nightmare.
I agree. And they will.
I might cry. I legitimately might shed tears.
They will.
If they
will.
lose that
If they win, if Colorado wins that game, they will do everything.
It will
on
not
top
be
of
pretty.
dancing on the end.
It will not be pretty.
Right.
But I can the fan reactions to that. And look, it is not outside the realm of possibility that Nebraska loses that game. You're talking about the second start for a freshman quarterback against a team that is going to be hostile.
Mm-hmm.
And seriously wants to come in and spoil the parade.
They're playing the role of the heel, and they like it. And in this setting where it is going, Memorial Stadium is going to be, it's going to go from a very supportive to their home team crowd to a, dare I say, hostile. That will be a hostile crowd.
But Nebraska could lose that game and then go on a run and win 5 or 6 in a row.
Sure, they could. 100% they could.
Because the early part of that Big Ten slate sets up very favorably. But I just, that Colorado game to me is going to have an outsized effect on the opinion of this season for the fan base, just because of who it is and how much you hate Dion, you hate Colorado. This is a fan base that is look, they've been through some emotional trauma, right? They are ready to be hurt again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that game. I don't, in year 2 under Matt Rule, so early, I don't want to throw anything as in its true definition of a must win. I think that's a must win. I think if you were to have, not that the fan base won't be overly supportive throughout the season, but if you want to get people outside their mind crazy about this team and where your home games following that,
blow out Colorado.
Yeah, you take it to Colorado. Not just the belief internally, but the belief throughout college football. Even if it's a little bit premature, people will look at that, and then that's where this conversation comes full circle, John, is then people will look back at the history of Matt Rule in year 2 and be like, see, he's going to do it again. They're off to a 2-0 start, and they took it to Colorado, as we know, is a talented team. And they took it to them. Even if Colorado doesn't win another game the rest of the season, at least in that moment, there'll be a lot of buzz. And that's, again, this is the importance of showing up on those national stages and those primetime slots, being able to show up, be as fully prepared. Because how many times, even going back to Bo Pelini, how many times did you watch those teams in those big moments, those big stage moments? You're like, they just don't look like they're ready for that moment. They don't look like they're prepared. The other team looks like they're so far beyond the comprehension of this team right now.
Well, they continuously looked like they were not expecting the other team to come out and play football against them. You know what I mean? It was just like they had almost no concept of what was going on in the game. They just looked lost.
That's where I want to see Nebraska be able to flip that script, where they're making teams, whether it be Colorado or Iowa at the end of the year, where at the very least, Iowa's always a very well-prepared team. That all of a sudden you make an Iowa team look
they're
like—
they're going to do their thing, and they're going to do it pretty well.
That all of a sudden you get Iowa in a situation where they look like they're scrambling. Like, again, the last time Nebraska beats Iowa, okay, we could talk about DeGene not playing in that game. They had no answer for Trey Palmer. Nebraska knew it, and they weren't making any secrets about it. Like, we're just going to send this guy deep. You have nobody who can cover him, and our guy's going to get it to him.
Yeah.
Go ahead and try and stop it. And they were helpless. That Iowa defense, that is, if there's one thing you can always say about Kirk Ferentz' team and Phil Parker more than anything, is that defense, they don't get overwhelmed by much.
No.
They were overwhelmed that day.
Yeah, I just think this season you have to prepare for the hiccups because there is some inexperience at key positions, and it's a team that won 5 games last year.
Yep.
This is not going to be a flawless season. There are going to be hiccups. There are going to be things that happen that don't look good. But overall, I think the team's going to be much better.
Yeah.
It's going to look a lot better on the whole than it did last year.
Yeah. I got to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get back to the big baseball regional in Stillwater that gets underway at 2:00. Nebraska taking on Florida. Big opportunity not only to, spoiler alert, advance into the regional, but also this baseball program. Not trying to put a big impact of the future of this Nebraska baseball program
Florida
on
be a big deal.
one game. I think you're right, too. We'll talk about that coming up.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Pyramid Roofing Time Saving Traffic Center. Not a whole lot of activity in the Omaha Metro with no accidents to report. However, if you're headed between Blair and Fremont, Highway 30 is closed in both directions due to law enforcement activity between counties Road 19 and 25. Also over on westbound I-80, there are slow goings towards the exit ramp to 144th Street. Northbound I-680 is experiencing slow goings towards the exit ramp to the westbound Dodge Expressway. Have a great weekend. Be sure to buckle up and drive safe out there. I'm Joey Colbert.
Time-saving traffic is brought to you by Pyramid Roofing. If you've seen the white trucks with Rufus the Spotted Dog, then you know about Pyramid Roofing. Replace your siding, windows, roof, or gutters. Call Pyramid Roofing at 402-502-9300 or visit
PyramidRoof.com. Never settle for less. My taco pie is really something special, and it can't be imitated. It starts with my zesty taco sauce, seasoned beef, onions, lettuce, tomatoes, mounds of cheddar, and mozzarella cheese. This pie is the real deal. For a limited time, build your own feast with the specialty pizza, like my taco pie, a one-topping pizza, and cinnamon monkey bread. Do yourself a favor and order. Today, Godfather's Pizza. Do it.
There has never been a better time to get loaded. Excuse me. Load up on your favorites at 42 Degrees. It's the inventory reduction sale at 42 Degrees. Help us clear out our overstock of select disposables, up to 75% off. Save up to 50% on CBD, Kratom, vaporizers, and glass. Plus, hot new lower pricing on all premium THC and CBD products. That's right, unbeatable new lower pricing on all premium THC and CBD products. It's the inventory reduction sale at 42 Degrees by your mom's house.
To all of the families impacted by recent tornadoes, NFM wants to help. We've put together special disaster recovery pricing store-wide. Offers are available on furniture, appliances, flooring, and electronics. We hope this will make recovering easier for our eastern Nebraska and western Iowa neighbors. To ease financial strain, please mention this ad in store and ask about long-term financing offers. In the wake of disaster, NFM is here to help if you need us.
Don't miss this week's Zone Deal.
This week's half-off deal are coupons valued at $50 on sale for just $25 to the Woodcliff Restaurant at Woodcliff Lake in Fremont. It's perfect for a romantic dinner or to bring the whole family to enjoy a culinary treat for any special occasion. $50 on sale for just $25 to the Woodcliff Restaurant at Woodcliff Lake in Fremont. This week's half-off deal.
Zone deals go fast. 9 a.m. Friday, 1620thezone.com.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
The Zone Inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Email me, Connor Happer, with the Connor Happer Show at Connor, CONNOR, at 1620thezone.com. Send me your love, your hate, and maybe a few hot takes. The Zone Inbox, presented by Equitable Bank.
Success in today's electrical market requires your company to be able to adjust to an ever-changing field. A partnership with IBEW Local 22 gives you that flexibility with access to journeymen, apprentices, proven training programs, marketing assistance, entry into markets not available before, ability to expand and contract with changing market conditions, and a benefits package for you and your employees. Contact Bob at IBEW Local 22 for additional details at 402-980-7596.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
All right, I got to give Jeffrey a lot of credit. He's working hard right now. Jeffrey is all over this trophy conversation that we're having with the Big Ten and even the new additions to the Big Ten with UCLA, USC, Washington, Oregon. He hits me up on the Equitable Bank inbox where they take banking personally. And he's got a bunch. The first one, though, I'm with him, but I think this is where you got to go with you got to flip the teams. He says Iowa versus Nebraska, the grain belt. I'm going to say, give me Nebraska versus Minnesota. Yes.
Premium grain belt.
Yep. Nebraska, Minnesota. Then we can talk.
You've never drank a grain belt. You should.
Oh, how about a grain belt Nordice? Ooh, that's where you're getting real fancy with the grain belt. And it's usually very, very affordable too.
Premium grain belt.
Premium grain belt. I mean, if you know, you know. It is. It's a lot of that. He's got UCLA versus Nebraska as the Golden Spike.
I get it.
He's got the hey, hello to you. Someone just honked. He's got the Minnesota versus Nebraska as the Silver Milk Jug.
Not bad. We're going with the grain belt for that one.
Yeah, I still think grain belt. He's got
winner just gets a 12-pack of premium grain belt.
Yes.
There's no trophy.
Yeah.
It's a 12-pack of beer.
And then if you go on a heater, maybe you're winning consecutive years, then you can get the Nordice.
Yeah.
Because that's a little more fancy.
You got to get 3 in a row.
Yeah, 3 in a row, then you get the Nordies. Illinois, Nebraska's got the Golden Sledgehammer with a really pretty looking hammer. He's got, I like where Jeffrey's head is because, why not just make every game a trophy game? Ohio State versus Nebraska is Das Boot. It's just a big picture of a cowboy boot. He's got the Indiana versus Nebraska, the Harvest Sickle.
Okay.
It looks like something that the Grim Reaper would don. So, yeah. Some good ideas there. Appreciate that, Jeffrey.
He's put a little danger into these trophies.
I know.
We got a hammer. We got
the Golden Sledgehammer is pretty cool. I do like
sickle.
I like the grain belt idea.
Wait, hammer and sickle. Is this guy a communist?
Oh boy. Oh gosh, I knew there was something going on there. Yeah, good stuff though. Appreciate it, Jeffrey. Getting back to the baseball today. He's got Nebraska taking on Florida 2. Then that'll be followed by Oklahoma State at Niagara. Games, by the way, will be on ESPN+. Kyle Peterson could be on the call for the Stillwater Regional. This is a game that I know there are. Well, let's be honest. And I know Kyle Peterson and Matt Schick, they know college baseball, but the first thing they brought up when that matchup was announced was the 1996 Fiesta Bowl, 95 national championship.
Kyle Peterson brought it up.
Even Kyle
he said, touchdown, Tommy, come on back.
Right. The fact remains there is a little bit of baseball history between these two, and it did take place in Omaha in the College World Series in 2005. It didn't go well for Nebraska, but you did have the last time these two teams played was in 2005. And that was their only matchup against each other, where Florida won that one 7-4, sending Nebraska into a loser's bracket game to Arizona State, and Connor and I spent a lot of time talking about that game yesterday as well. But you're looking at a Florida team that has two things that are going to jump off the page. One, if you remember from last year,
Jack Caglione.
Well, that's the other thing. Last year, they were the national runner-up. They were a team that you thought had every bit of a chance to beat LSU and actually be a national champ. Now, this team is different with the exception of, I would say, probably the most exciting or at least most intimidating players when it comes to a guy in the batter's box in Jack Caglione. The dude is hitting 450-plus bombs. 450
Didn't he hit one over 500?
Bombs. He did hit one this year over 500 feet. He's a stud. He's hitting well over 400. He's got, 29 home runs now? The dude is a machine. We know that Florida is not the same team they were a year ago. Now, that doesn't mean that Florida is not worthy of being in the NCAA tournament as well. They play in the SEC. They had some struggles, but they finished the regular season by beating a national seed in Georgia, taking 2 out of 3. So they're more than capable. And some of their struggles, I always try to keep in context of those struggles have happened in the SEC, where you had 11 teams qualify for the NCAA tournament. To say that they are battle-tested, I think, would be a bit of a understatement.
The surprising thing about Florida, and if you've like seen them play at the College World Series over the past handful of times they've been here, they have not pitched it very well this year. They've been knocked around quite a bit.
Yeah, and they're starting a freshman today. And a guy that his numbers
been really good.
He has. His numbers aren't, and I'm glad you brought that up, because his numbers, if you're just looking at that, you think, oh, okay. Well, he's had some, again, lumps in the SEC. Also lumps that you would expect any freshman to have, no matter how talented you are. But a guy that, when we were talking to Kyle Peterson earlier in the week, said a guy that's starting to kind of figure it out. That I think there was this sigh of relief that people thought, oh, gosh, thank goodness we're not getting Jack Caglione. Which, okay, that's fine. That's understandable. But if you are your Friday night guy on Florida, it's not because, well, I guess we have no other option. You got something there. And the one area I've talked about all week for Nebraska that I don't trust on a consistent basis is their offense. But given all that about Florida, what today could mean for Nebraska if they could best Florida. And I get it. Throw the seeds out. This isn't Nebraska's favored, right? Nope. Even as a 2 seed, you're not. This is still the SEC representation versus a Big Ten team that finished second in the regular season, won the Big Ten tournament, had 3 teams out of the conference go. But it's a conference that you do not look upon as a power conference or as a conference that is going to, like the SEC, have those teams in the postseason battle tested as much as you're going to see in the SEC, ACC, or Big 12. If you're able to win that game, this is a similar conversation we were just having about the primetime opportunities that Nebraska football has. That one area that I think is so challenging, and I was talking to Sip about this yesterday too, for Nebraska baseball, is I like to separate the Nebraska baseball era from the Big 8, Big 12 to the Nebraska baseball era in the Big 10. Because the one thing that has stayed the same between those two eras is there's really good talent in the state of Nebraska when it comes to the high school baseball product. You and I have talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
What has changed a lot is it is much more challenging to recruit to Nebraska now than it was back then. And I know a lot of people say, well, yeah, because they were winning, they're getting to the College World Series. Well, you can also blame the Big 12 for that too. Much like the SEC teams, by the time Nebraska was getting to the postseason, they were battle-tested. They'd gone through some wars with Texas, some wars with A&M, at Baylor, in Oklahoma State, in Oklahoma. Like those things existed. That doesn't necessarily exist in the Big Ten. And then to recruit to, hey, you're going to play at Haymarket Park. Okay, cool. Where else do we go? You go to Michigan. Oh. You get to go to Dwayne Banks Field in Iowa. Oh. You get to go to Bainton Field in Piscataway. Oh.
Yay.
It's far more challenging to sell in-state talent on not necessarily playing and staying in state for the actual school, but playing for that school in this conference. So you're looking for certain edges when it comes to being able to not only keep that in-state talent here, at least the most significant ones, which despite all that, I think between Darren and Will, they've done a pretty good job of that. There's been some guys that have got away. Alec Boehm, that's inexcusable.
Yeah.
Okay. There have been examples where that hasn't been the case, but you can only work with what you have. And you get a national stage today, even though it's on ESPN Plus, you're playing an extremely recognizable baseball brand that was not only in the national championship series last year, but also has college baseball's best in Jack Caglione. You beat them, and you're able to show out in this regional how big that can be to be able to say, yeah, you know what? We don't play a lot of SEC teams in the non-conference with maybe the occasional showcase game over at Globe Life. Remember when Nebraska beat Vanderbilt? That was great, but it was at the beginning of the season. You beat a program like that in the postseason. Okay, now we're talking about something here. This, to me, is a potential program builder in 9 innings of baseball against an SEC power. Even though this particular SEC team in 2024 is not nearly as powerful as they were a year ago, it's still a great opportunity to say, look what we did against them in the postseason against Jack Caglione. How does Jack Caglione fare against Brett Sears? Look at how what if Jack Caglione goes 0 for 4 with a couple of Ks? Like, look what our pitching coach, look how he develops our guys, and look what that guy did against the best hitter in college baseball. You know, all of those things. These are different things you can work with when you say, okay, let's step out of the Big Ten for a moment and let's look at how we face off against the superior conference in the SEC and that big name brand college baseball program in Florida. It's not just a chance to, in my opinion, maybe I'm taking this way too far, John, but to me, it's not just a chance to advance to the winner's bracket. This is a chance to really try to bolster your overall baseball profile going forward with a Big Ten that's about to expand.
Well, I don't think you have to make it any more complicated than the fact that Kevin O'Sullivan is a national championship winning head coach.
Mm-hmm.
Florida is a national brand when it comes to baseball. If you can beat teams that are national brands in the postseason, those are resume boosters for your head coach and your program.
Yep.
You can just keep it real simple. Beating Florida is a major positive.
And doing so in the postseason as well.
Taking Florida and putting them in a spot where they can be eliminated from the postseason with a loss to Nebraska in the first round is a huge step forward for this team.
Yep.
It's just like it is. You can't deny it. Like there's no way around it that saying that this would be a big win for Nebraska baseball. It would not be as big a win for Florida. They've done this before.
Right.
They've been this team.
No, people, and that's even with the season they've had, people expect Florida to win today.
Nebraska's got much more to gain in this game than Florida does. And when you look at the numbers, like maybe it's not a total apples to apples comparison because one team plays in the loaded SEC and one team plays in the Big Ten. But Nebraska's got the advantage in the statistics in almost every category. The only thing is Florida's hit 116 home runs and Nebraska's hit 66.
Right.
And you're playing in a ballpark
it's a launch
that is very friendly
to
the long ball hitter. So, like, Nebraska has an advantage in pitching. If they can keep Florida under 6 runs, I think Nebraska is going to win this game. Like, Florida has not fared well this season when they have scored 6 or less. Don't have the exact record, but most of their losses out of 27 that they've lost this season are when they have scored 6 or fewer runs. Now, if Nebraska can hold them to under that number, which is certainly possible with who they're throwing today.
Yep.
Like Brett Sears, certainly capable of holding this thing down under 6 runs. I think Nebraska wins the game.
Okay. This kind of goes against everything I've talked about with Brett Sears with his start a week ago to what I expect him today. The part about Nebraska this year that I'm still on the fence about or not sold on is their ability to set the tone in a tournament. And obviously last week that didn't go well against Ohio State, but to set the tone early in this game, and I think it has to be done offensively. I struggle with that. I think, because what I said about Brett Sears is he just flat out competed his way to a victory over Purdue. He didn't have his best stuff. And typically when you see a guy that doesn't have his best stuff and he admits it, more times than not, you're going to see that guy come back out the following start, and he's going to have some stuff working for him. I know he understands this lineup and how pinpoint he needs to be, but I think he's capable of that. And I think the way Rob Childress will bring this situation along with him, I think it won't be too big for him. Where I'm going to say I think Florida gets it done today is I don't think Nebraska offensively matches up. I don't think Nebraska offensively, because as much as Florida is also a swing and miss team, Nebraska is too. And I love the way that this offense was trending all the way through the Big Ten tournament. But I also have seen this team give you maybe 2 or 3 good offensive performances, and then they just go flat. I think you're onto something. If you're able to hold Florida under 6 runs, you're going to be in the fight. And there's no question. I mean, we're talking aluminum bats, less than 5 runs, hell, even in an inning. But I don't know if I trust Nebraska's offense enough that they can get the job done today.
So I just tallied it up. Florida scoring 6 or less this year, including SEC tournament play, 5-22.
Ooh. I'm telling you, that's the key. That's the
key.
It's
telling numbers.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that's something to keep an eye on, because I also look at the confidence level that if Nebraska is in that 1 or 2 run type game and they're really limiting Florida's offense, this is where you start to get into the old psyche of a game, because I don't think Florida looks at themselves as a 3 seed. Florida looks at themselves as, okay, we're in the tournament. This is where we're supposed to be. We don't care what seed we are. We're just going to go out and beat everybody, and we're going to get back to Omaha. There's a lot of confidence in that team. So they expect to win, even though Nebraska's a higher seed. If this thing is a 1 to 2 run ball game late in the game, yeah, I think it's far more pressure on Florida than it is on Nebraska. I'm just leery of Nebraska's offense collectively to do enough to overcome Florida that I think at the very least will put up 5 runs.
Yeah. Florida's pitching has been like uncharacteristically bad.
And their bullpen is not great. That's another thing too.
Look at just team ERA. Florida on the season, 6.27. Nebraska, 4.40. The 2 starters. Mm-hmm. Peterson, who's been better lately. He was really good late in the season. But overall, he's 2-4 with a 5.83 ERA. Mm-hmm. Nebraska's got Brett Sears at 9-0 with a 2 ERA. Like, the numbers would tell you that Nebraska should win this game. And like, numbers aren't always the whole story. I understand that. But just looking at the makeup of the teams and how they've performed up to this point,
yeah, this
is a game that Nebraska should win.
See, that's where I would disagree, because this is where I want to put into the SEC context of those numbers in the SEC versus those numbers in the Big Ten. This is where I put a lot of respect into the SEC. Maybe I'm giving the SEC too much credit, but when you get 11 teams in, and I mean, you and I have watched enough college baseball and the College World Series, and we see how those teams are.
But if Florida doesn't win that final series of the regular season,
yeah, there's a good shot that they don't make it.
Those last 2 games against Georgia,
yeah.
They don't get above 500, and they're probably not in.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
This team was on the verge of not making it.
That's true. None of that is incorrect. The thing is, though, when I look at the numbers, I think even if you would ask most of the national pundits that cover college baseball, they would say, even despite the Nebraska being the higher seed, that Florida would be the slight favorite to win this game. That's where I think whether it's fair or not, the respect that people are going to put into that baseball conference in the SEC compared to the Big Ten. There's nothing about Brett Sears' year that you can pour any type of cold water over. He's a Big Ten pitcher of the year, and very well deserved. But when I look at the struggles that Florida's pitching staff has had, especially in the back end, I'm thinking about the type of hitters that they're facing night in and night out. I know for a fact, and you know this too, that the Big Ten does not have that type of firepower all throughout the conference that you're facing on a night in, night out basis.
No doubt.
So I do think sometimes those numbers can be skewed a little bit But yes, if we're just putting the numbers side by side and we're going strictly off of that, sure, yeah, Nebraska's got the edge in a lot of categories. Will that show up against a team that, quite frankly, once they get to the postseason, feel like this is what they're supposed to be doing? Maybe, to your point, maybe they feel like they got a new lease on life. To me, it simply comes down to I don't trust Nebraska's offense well enough.
Okay.
That's what it comes down
Well,
to me.
Vegas agrees with you. The latest line is Florida -1.5.
So but it's tight.
It's tight.
It's extremely tight.
You're getting -130 on Florida on the money line, plus 100 on Nebraska. So it's very close.
I'll tell you this though, John, if you give me a 1 to 2 run ball game in the 7th, I like Nebraska's chances.
Well, the over-under is 11, so they're saying 6-5 Florida.
Okay.
That's what Vegas is predicting.
I think if they're not chasing more than 2 runs as they get into the 7th, 8th, 9th, I think they're in a good spot. If they're trying to battle back from a major crooked number of 3 or 4 runs,
if Sears,
that's where I really have seen this offense sort of implode.
If Sears gets the hook before the 5th, this game's over.
Yep. Yeah, he's got to be dialed in. And this is where, and we do this a lot. Not you and I, but we as a baseball viewing society, we get consumed with pitch count.
Yeah.
Folks.
Pitch count goes out the window.
Exactly.
At this point of the
You've
year.
got to put that away right now. Unless you can clearly see a pitcher is laboring, when you start to see that creep towards 99, then to triple digits, use your eyes on how effective that pitcher is in the moment as opposed to, ooh.
Well, just think about
he's rolling, but he's at 100 now. No.
The last time Nebraska was in this spot, and Dave Van Horn used his I don't remember the kid's name.
We went on Shane Comene's numbers.
The reliever that Van Horn used for
Cops,
Arkansas.
yeah.
Cops.
Yep.
How many pitches did that guy throw on the weekend?
He threw, I think it was 90 on one day. He had the following day off, and then he threw 70.
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
No, and again, use your eyes. If he's clearly effective, any pitcher that you watch in the postseason, we'll give our Omaha 8, by the way, in the 9:00 hour. But any pitcher that you're seeing creep into 100 to over 100, use your eyes. Tell me if they look effective or not. Tell me if they've got tight break on their curve or slider. If their fastball still has a lot of hum to it. If it's still popping the mid. If it's being elevated, is it due to the fact that you're trying to change eye level, not because you're starting to labor where it's sailing? All those little things. If you're seeing those things, do not worry about the pitch count. You're in essentially June now. You've had months of your arm to be conditioned to where if you've got to do the occasional 120, 125, but you're effective and that team doesn't have any real feel for you, you ride that. This is the, and I'm a huge advocate of player safety, especially when it comes to being able to preserve the arm and the elbow, the UCL. I can tell you though, as long as you're not averaging 110 to 120 pitches per outing, that occasional one where you have to dig in a little bit more or work a little more overtime, that's not going to be the difference between you having a healthy arm the following year to you having to go under the knife. Okay. There's a lot more that goes into that, but all of a sudden we see that triple digit number and people freak out. It's all about the context. Now, if you start seeing a guy that's laboring and he's missing spots, things are hanging, but maybe he's still inducing soft contact, then you could worry a little bit because at some point that soft contact is going to turn into hard contact and then it's going to be a problem. But if you see those pitchers at 100 plus pitches, ask yourself, do they still look effective though?
Yeah. And I think strikeout numbers are going to be big for Sears today too, because as you mentioned, Florida, they're a swing and miss team.
Yep.
And if you're not missing bats, some of those balls are going to get driven deep into the outfield. So watch Sears needs to be effective on the mound and he needs to go deep in the game.
The one thing that I love about Sears all year, he limits the free passes.
Yep.
You can give up a
and I've already told you what I think about, free bases, booting the ball around on defense. Yep. That's where you get hurt in these situations.
He limits you give up a solo bomb, you give up a solo bomb. It's going to happen. It's a problem when you walk a guy, then maybe hit a guy, and then you give up the 3-run bomb. That could be the difference between winning a game and losing a game, no matter what part of the game that happens. So this is, again, where, and I think Rob Childress has done a really good job of trying to emphasize this with his entire staff this year, as he says, mastering the vanilla, being able to master the art of strike throwing. And the percentages that go heavily in the favor on the mound when you're able to get pitch 1 and 2 over for a strike, and you're getting into the count leverage of an 0-2, even 0-1 or 1-2 as opposed to 2-1 or 2-0, and how that advantage then squarely goes back in the batter's box. The percentages would tell you, and they don't lie, that if you can stay on top of the count leverage, you're going to be just fine. All right, going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more. Going to talk some college baseball. We're going to give you our 8 that we have coming to Omaha in the 9 o'clock hour. We'll take a look at those regionals, and we'll also get back to a little bit of thought on some college basketball, because I want to get your thoughts on this with the retention that we saw from some of the teams as well. As we continue here, it's Mornings with Sharp and Handley. It's Nick and John and Peter here on a Friday, 1620 The Zone.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10 on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
The bottom line is, for 6 months of YouTube TV, 5 of Prime Video, 1 month each of Peacock, ESPN Plus, and Netflix, comes to a grand total of $506.86. And then if you want to add the Sunday ticket, you're looking at $855 if you want access to every single NFL game played this season.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from a Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV Newswatch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
A chance for more spotty showers and thunder showers throughout the day Friday with heavy rain potential. Otherwise, expect mostly cloudy conditions, a tad cooler with highs in the low to mid 70s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Pyramid Roof and Time Saving Traffic Center, it's a smooth sailing, feel-good Friday morning in the Omaha Metro with no accidents to report. If you're headed between Blair and Fremont, U.S. Highway 30 is closed between Nebraska Highway 31 and County Road 21 due to law enforcement activity. Westbound I-80's got delays on the exit ramp to 144th Street. Expect slow goings on 204th in both directions between Pacific and F, and slow goings in both directions on Dodge between 84th and 72nd. Have a fantastic weekend. Be sure to buckle up and drive safe out there. I'm Joey Colbert.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Romeo's Mexican Food and Pizza.
Enjoy Romeo's Grande Pizza and Taco Combo. 1 large 2-topping pizza, 4 soft-shell tacos, chips, and queso dip for only $29.99. Only at Romeo's. Carry out only.
Romeo's Mexican Food and Pizza.
Not your typical restaurant. Hey, baseball fans, join the Blur Tailgate at Hilton Omaha this June for our 12th annual hospitality event during the College Baseball Championship Series. Book an experience for your clients or employees with an inclusive bar, buffet, TVs, music, and tailgate games. Secure your spot today and let Blur Events take care of all the work so you can enjoy the day. Plus, we're just steps away from Charles Schwab Field. Visit blurevents.com to book your group, buy tickets, or learn about sponsorships. That's blurevents.com, your college baseball and football tailgate destination.
Hello? Jan, it's Kay. Are you and Rich free for dinner tonight? I'm making pizza.
Sounds great. What time?
6 p.m.?
Sorry, can't do it. Wheel of Fortune is on and Rich won't miss it.
You're kidding.
Nope. He's seen every episode since 1975. He won't budge.
Listen, tell him if he comes, we'll buy him a bunch of Wheel of Fortune scratch tickets from the Nebraska Lottery.
Won't work. He has to see the show.
That's just it. Until July 30th, if Rich enters any non-winning $5 Wheel of Fortune scratch ticket online, he could win the ultimate fan trip to Los Angeles, including airfare and accommodations. He'll also win tickets to a live taping of Wheel of Fortune and get to spin the big wheel to win at least $2,000.
That might work. Could you do just one other thing?
Sure. What?
Could you write free spin and pepperoni on every other slice of pizza?
Why don't you just come at 7?
Wheel of Fortune top prize odds, 1 in 112,000.
Hey, Tapper for the FanDuel Sportsbook. In this NBA playoffs, FanDuel is giving all customers 2 chances, not 1, 2 chances to bring home a big win with a no-sweat same-game parlay. That's every weekend of the NBA playoffs. Just place a same-game parlay on any playoff matchup, and you'll get bonus bets back if you don't win. Bet on everything from rebounds to assists to three-pointers and more. So take a look at the weekend slate. Maybe you want to combine rebounds with points with one Nikola Jokic. Maybe you want to combine rebounds, points, and assists with one Nikola Jokic. There's not just Denver Nuggets bets. There's all kinds all across the board. And they're available for you on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Visit FanDuel.com/Apper, and it's time to shoot your shot on America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the National Basketball Association. 21 and over, present in Iowa. Minimum 3-leg parlay required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Max refund $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Introducing Modern Real Estate, the game changer in Nebraska's property market. With a competitive 2% commission rate, we're making buying, selling, and investing more affordable and transparent than ever. Our experienced agents blend local expertise with cutting-edge technology to provide top-notch personalized service to all clients. Don't settle for less when you can save big without compromising. Visit modernrealestateco.com and experience the future of real estate today. Modern Real Estate, redefining the way you do real estate.
Are Nebraska craft beers and ciders important to you? Whether you just love Nebraska brewed beers and ciders or you're a full-fledged craft brewery, there are benefits to membership for anyone with the Nebraska Craft Brewers Guild. Their sole mission is to foster and help grow the Nebraska-centric brewing community. Become a member today at nebraska.beer and help advance the craft beer and cider industry in the state of Nebraska. Find out more about the Nebraska Craft Brewers Guild at nebraska.beer.
No better time than now to focus on your garden or landscape. Come shop Lanahaw's Garden Center, filled with the area's best quality plants, flowers, and trees. Rooted in quality, unmatched value. Lanahaw Nurseries, 192nd and Center.
Email unsportsmanlike conduct on the Equitable Bank Zone Inbox with whatever is on your mind, from your hot takes to what you think is one. The Zone Inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone Inbox.
Now back to Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, this week's Zone Deal is for the Woodcliff Restaurant, voted Omaha's best outdoor patio. It's perfect for a romantic dinner for two or a family dinner. Enjoy all of Woodcliff's delicious food with a perfect view of Woodcliff Lake. Don't miss the Zone Deal. Special burger or Friday's fish special. With this week's deal, you get 2 $25 gift vouchers, a $50 value for just $25. It's on sale right now. Actually, I lied. It's on sale in 14 minutes.
Oh,
yep. 14 minutes. That's at 9 a.m. Get all the details and get your 2 $25 gift vouchers for just $25. Get it all at 1620thezone.com. Going to the J-Tech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Going back to our conversation about Nebraska football and the primetime matchups, Iowa JD says, if I'm Nebraska, I would hope to have a bowl opportunity done before Black Friday because you don't come into Iowa City under the lights and win unless you are a Big Ten official from Hastings and don't know what a fair catch is. Oh, man. That game wasn't under the lights, though, the Minnesota game. I remember specifically my buddy, because that was during my son's birthday.
Well, I don't make an inadvertent fair catch signal. That'd be my suggestion.
Got to know the rules, man. Got to know the rules. But I remember my buddy who had a makeshift Floyd trophy. He was running around my backyard with the Floyd trophy. It was pretty good. Although he was in the bathroom when the punt return actually happened. He came out and we were all laughing because Minnesota had just given up the lead and we thought I was going to win. And he was like devastated. And then when he found out that it was waved off, he was just giggling like a little schoolboy. It was great. Drake says Nebraska, Iowa should be the E85 Bowl.
Drake, you win.
I love that.
It's so good.
The E85 Bowl. Could they do the soy biodiesel bowl? Would be another good one. Almost too obvious, but good.
Brought to you by the Nebraska and Iowa Soybean Board.
The Soybean Council. Kyle says Wisconsin, Nebraska doesn't need a trophy, but they should play for the right to wear red. Winner gets to wear red the next season, home or away. Would you want? Okay, I know this isn't what Kyle's suggesting as far as red. I think he's just talking about the red top. Are you getting close to perhaps wanting to see the all red?
Am I getting close to that?
Yeah, or have you always wanted to? And I'm not talking about this crazy alternative. Hey, Adidas, give us a cool all red. No, just go
the Yonoid.
Yeah. Oh God, that was awful. Just go with the away pants and the home jersey. Combine those. Are you in? Are you out? Are you indifferent?
I don't know.
Because you see a lot of those recruiting pictures
I'm a
that they have
traditionalist on a
red.
lot of things, except when it comes to uniforms. Like, do something fun. I don't care. Okay. Blow it out. Try something different. Wear a Runza uniform. I don't care.
Oh.
Ooh.
I mean, they do sell them at Memorial Stadium.
You got can we get a Valentino's pizza uniform?
What would that be? Would that be, I mean, they're red, and would you put a little green in there?
Maybe, I
A
don't know.
little Italiano?
Let's get a green lid.
Oh, a green helmet with a red end?
Yeah.
It'd be very Christmas-like.
Yeah. Do that for Black Friday. Everyone's doing their Christmas shopping.
That is true. Wouldn't that be fun if somebody on Black Friday, they did a nod to the holidays uniform? We always got all these inspired uniforms. Oh, this is in
Santa
tribute to this or that. Yeah. Let's get weird with it. As John mentioned earlier on the JTech Zone, or actually the Equitable Bank inbox, said there's like 73 Black Friday games now.
There are. Yeah. Everybody's trying to get in on that.
Yeah.
That's our thing.
Used to be
Stay
our
away
thing.
from it. You
It's
get
true.
out of here.
We've been here.
It's true.
Johnny come lately Black Friday games.
Hey, by the way, I don't know how. Oh, by the way, as Zach brings up, there is the Bussin' Bowl trophy with Michigan. Yes, with the Compton Luan little rivalry. Even though you're not playing each other every year, so it's kind of tough to pull that off. Are you guys? I know this obviously impacts me more than it does you, too, because I'm a huge Chicago Bears fan. But we've got the Hard Knocks officially announcing the Chicago Bears will be the 2024 installment of Hard Knocks. I'm cool with it.
Hard Knocks is kind of confusing now because they have the regular training camp Hard Knocks. Now
Yes, and then they have the in-season one.
and now they have some third version that the Giants are a part of this year.
The front office Hard Knocks.
Well, doesn't every organization do their own little version of it now? Hell, even Nebraska football's doing their own little version of Hard Knocks.
Yeah. Chasing 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, episode 3 should be coming out soon.
So here's my thing about Hard Knocks is it's just gotten significantly less interesting over the past 5 or 6 years.
I agree. That's why I really don't care if the Bears are on it or not.
I think they've turned over a bunch of editorial control to the front office of the team that they're covering.
Yes.
That didn't exist before because teams don't actually want to do it. And the only way they're agreeing to do it is saying like, yeah, but we get final veto over what you're putting on the show.
If it's on our terms.
Yeah. So like the last time, honestly, that it was really interesting to me was when they had the Bengals. And it was like Gio Bernard's first year, and they had Andy.
Yeah, Ocho Cinco.
AJ Green. Like that Hard Knocks is the last one that I was really into.
Yeah.
And it's like every year that it starts now, I watch the first episode and I'm just like, yeah, I don't really care. I'm not into it. It doesn't do anything.
The personalities make it, and this is the only reason that I'm kind of excited about it with Chicago is optimistic as I am about the Bears moving forward, because I really do think they're making some quality moves. I like what Ryan Poles is trying to put together. I just don't know much about this team personality-wise.
Well, there's so many new pieces.
There are, and there's a lot of younger guys. Even if that 2018 team, the last team for Chicago that went to the playoffs and won the division, you had some personalities. You know, you had Khalil Mack, you had Akeem Hicks. On the offense, you had Tariq Cohen.
He's trying to make a comeback.
He is with the Jets. Good luck with that.
I think
because everybody makes a successful comeback with the Jets.
With the new kickoff rules, that's a guy that could make an impact.
But they did, and just their overall defense, like the fun that they were having that year too. Even as much as I know we in Nebraska don't really care for him, like Chase Daniel's a personality. He was the backup quarterback.
Old Booger.
Yeah, old Booger eating Chase Daniels. So they had some personality. Like this year, Caleb Williams is an interesting dude. Is he a guy that I want to see week in and week out saying weird things? I mean, sure, I guess I have to. But like DJ Moore's almost too normal of a dude. He doesn't give you that typical
what's
wide receiver
going to do?
Yeah. So, and this is why I'm intrigued, because usually in these shows,
you want the
personality that you don't know about comes out.
You're tuning in for the drama and the anticipation of who's going to get cut.
Yeah. So
a quarterback battle, something like that.
For people that you typically think are either boring or leave you flat, sometimes they really thrive. And you're like, oh, wow. You know what? I like that guy. He's a pretty cool dude. I'll admit, you mentioned the Bengals one. I walked away being a Carson Palmer fan.
Yeah.
Carson Palmer had some pretty good personality there. Matt Ryan, that was, the Falcons. I'm like, this is so boring.
The Falcons one was terrible.
But Matt Ryan was okay. Like, Matt Ryan gave you a little something. So out of every one of those, now the Jets, when they had Rex
Mark
Ryan.
Sanchez.
Yeah.
And
Rex
Sanchez
Ryan
is like
alone.
he's giving the business to everybody, making fun of the way people walk. Like, that was funny.
Yeah,
there was good stuff in there.
I'm curious about the personalities of the Chicago Bears team, a team that I know from a performance standpoint, but as far as their personalities, I don't know much about. I want to know about some funny offensive linemen, maybe some crazy defensive linemen. Maybe give me God, I'm totally blanking on his name now. He was a linebacker in Wisconsin. He's with Chicago. He's not Borland, because Borland retired. He was with the Niners.
Well, the point is, like, I just feel like, especially with a team filled with a bunch of new pieces, like the good stuff that might actually make for an interesting television program is not going to make it to air. Like the things that are dramatic and that might be a little bit inflammatory or explosive, they're going to cut all that stuff. You're just not going to see it.
Yeah.
Because this is a team that's trying to rebuild. They have a new quarterback. They're trying to project, put a new face forward. Like, it's just going to be propaganda. And
that's what it is anymore. I mean, that's all it is with the Hard Knocks. Remember the one of the I think it was the first one, with the Ravens.
Yeah.
And
it was wild.
Them locking each other into like when Goose locks in the tight ends and Shannon Sharp into well, I guess we used to call them portables. You call it a trailer in their meeting room. That was like hilarious. Like the pranks that they would pull. And it felt a little bit unscripted, and they just let it all fly. But now you got to be careful with how you project yourself, how you project certain aspects of your team, because not only are you trying to appease your fan base, but you're also trying to appease the rest of the NFL watching universe, which is significant. So Sanborn, that's the guy I'm thinking about.
Jack Sanborn,
yeah. So it is definitely more watered down. But if I can get some personality out of the Chicago Bears, I'll walk away being happy, because I'm optimistic.
You are, so you're going to watch it.
Well, I have
Obviously.
to. I have to, even if I didn't want to. Yeah.
I think, again, it's probably going to be for me. I'll watch the first episode. I'll get bored about 20 minutes in, and I probably won't turn it on again.
Did they announce, are they doing any co-practices with other teams?
Have not heard yet.
Because that's
sure they will.
That's
and
always an interesting part, is when there's a fight at one of those.
and I think the NFL is okay with promoting that, because I think the NFL knows that is, and I don't think any organization. I don't think any organization is going to be against that, because they want to show that their team has a little feistiness to them too. So I think that those things are always going to make. They're always going to make the episode.
But also, there are fights just in the regular practice between teammates. They won't show you that most of the time.
Right. Yeah, because then that looks like you have an internal struggle. That you have bad culture. We can't give off the vibes that we have bad culture. They're also probably going to make sure you get Caleb Williams on a good day, because I think it was last Thursday. Caleb Williams did not have a good day. There was a lot. Now, he didn't have Rome Odunze. He did not. I don't think Keenan Allen was participating, and DJ Moore was out. So he didn't have his top three receivers. But the football, by all accounts, was not falling into the hands of receivers. It was hitting a lot of turf. So it was a auspicious start, if you will, for one Caleb Williams. But I do think there's going to be a little bit of protecting Caleb Williams, because you know the MO or the narrative
I think it's going to be a lot of promoting Caleb Williams.
I would hope so, but I think by promoting him, you're also protecting the bad days because there's that sentiment. I don't know. We'll find out after his first year as a NFL quarterback and also being saddled with that label of the number one choice, the number one draft pick in the 2024 class, how he handles himself. But there is that narrative that he's soft. There was the whole hugging thing with his mom crying and hugging her, and people are, oh, come on, man. Oh, okay. Either that's a real moment with an athlete that was feeling some emotions, or he is soft. I don't know. But I think they want to do whatever they can to promote his toughness. They're going to try to change any type of narrative that may exist on a negative front.
Oh,
so that's where you get a lot of
sure.
we want to control what everybody sees about Caleb Williams. And if he's having a bad day where he's not completing passes at all, you might get a little bit of that. But if that continues, well, they ain't going to show all of it.
No.
This is where I wish in 2019, when Chicago was supposed to take a big step forward from that 2018 double doink ending, I remember the late, great Jeff Dickerson, who covered the Chicago Bears for so long, had said in a lot of their media availability to watch practices that Trubisky was struggling mightily throwing the football, like couldn't complete anything. And as he would report that, the fever was so high on how good Chicago could be that year. I mean, hell, they were even talking about it as a potential Super Bowl contender, but nobody wanted to listen to how below average Mitchell Trubisky was looking. And so that got out there, but everyone dismissed it because they were so high on the Bears. But then when it played out that way, guys like Jeff Dickerson and other members of the media were saying, we try to tell you guys this. He was awful in training camp. And so I'm hoping that the types of days that Caleb Williams has where he's off, those are few and far between. Like last Thursday was more of a one-off, but we'll see. I'm excited, but I'm a Bears fan. I don't blame anybody if they're not excited because really I don't know much about the personalities. I'm more excited about the new guys that they have. Like I want to see more about Caleb Williams. I want to see more Rome Odunze.
Nick Handley says Tyson Bagent's going to be the starter.
Now there's an interesting dude because his dad, a professional arm wrestler. Yeah, I want to hear more from him. Give me Tyson Bagent many more times.
Secret Bagent, man.
Got to take a quick break. We'll come back. Also coming up in the 9 o'clock, I'm going to talk to Matt Verzal. He's a big Bears fan. We'll see if he's going to tune in. I know he doesn't have a lot of time to watch TV, but
he's pizza.
I know he's making the pies.
He's coaching offensive line.
And he is. He's doing some coaching, but will he make some time for his beloved Chicago Bears as well? We'll talk to Verz about that much more as we continue here on Mornings with Sharp and Handley. It's John Schreiner. It's Nick Handley. And it's Peter Krenzer. 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. Remember, no matter how you listen, it's still AM radio. 1620 The Zone.
Hey, everybody, it's Michael Sevilla for Ted and Wally's. There's so much going on in the Benson area all summer long. And one of the great things about it is when you're down there, whether you're checking out an art exhibit or you're going to one of the great stores or even swinging by one of the great bars and restaurants, you can also stop by Ted and Wally's and top off your day or night. You know how that is. You go out, you get a great meal, but you need a little bit of something sweet at the end. And the place to get the best in sweetness is at Ted and Wally's Premium Ice Cream. You can swing by there while you're in Benson, checking out all the great summer activities. And if you're downtown, lots of great summer activities down there as well, whether it's art festivals and that big baseball tournament, all that's going on down there as well. Swing by the Old Market location and get yourself some great ice cream. Hey, the bullpen's right there too, right? As baseball is going on, you swing by there and you can get a coupon for some free ice cream from the folks over at 1620 The Zone. You can get all of that. It is a great time for ice cream because it's the summer. Both locations are open and ready for you, whether it's the Old Market or in Benson. And when you stop by, tell them Severe sent you.
The backseat. Check the backseat. All right, come here. Check the backseat.
Gets in your head, right? Good. Because every year, dozens of children are forgotten in the backseat of a car by a parent or caregiver. All never thought it could happen to them. But with changes in routines, distractions, or a sleeping child, it can happen to anyone. Parked cars get hot, fast, and can be deadly. So get it in your head.
Check the backseat.
A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Hop into the driver's seat of a new Ford truck or SUV now at Baxter Ford. Choose from hundreds of new Ford F-150s, F-150 Lightnings, F-250s, and F-350s. Baxter Ford has over 250 new SUV models available, including Bronco, Bronco Sport, Escape, Edge, Explorer, Expedition, and more. Plus, all our vehicles come with fair, transparent pricing and no dealer fees. So you only pay for the vehicle, not the paperwork. Get started at BaxterFord.com.
Is your concrete cracked or uneven? Hey everyone, Coach Greg McDermott here to explain why you should choose Everlevel Concrete Repair. Many people think they need to replace broken concrete, but repairing it provides durable protection and comes at a fraction of the cost. Everlevel provides permanent repair solutions to fix your concrete and protect it against future damage, and it all comes with a long-term transferable warranty. They offer free inspections to walk you through the entire process. Call Everlevel Concrete Repair today.
Let's go on a fishing trip you will be talking about for years. The best walleye fishing trip ever. Join me, Crash Davis. We're going to travel to the walleye capital of the world, September 15th through the 19th aboard a deluxe motor coach. Travel with me to Ballard's Resort on Lake of the Woods. Pricing includes round-trip motor coach transportation, 4 nights lodging, 3 days of fully guided walleye fishing, and all of our meals. Go fishing with me, Crash. Your best trip ever. Sign up at ballardsresort.com. ballardsresort.com. And set the hook.
To all of the families impacted by recent tornadoes, NFM wants to help. We've put together special disaster recovery pricing store-wide. Offers are available on furniture, appliances, flooring, and electronics. We hope this will make recovering easier for our eastern Nebraska and western Iowa neighbors. To ease financial strain, please mention this ad in store and ask about long-term financing offers. In the wake of disaster, NFM is here to help if you need us.
The Zone Hotline is powered by 42 Degrees. The Source. By your mom's house.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online at hims.com/radio. Through HIMS, you'll get a free medical consultation to determine the ED medication that's best for you, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands, at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at HIMS, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/radio and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free, with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. hims.com/radio.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Join the VIP club and sign up for 1620 The Email. You'll be the first to know all the exciting content that's happening on 1620 The Zone, including what is on Peter's hat.
What is it?
Are the people wondering?
Barefoot
Bar Okoboji.
Nice.
No, it's just there.
Very fun.
It's a Boge, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Shriner was there.
You can get that. You can get sports news, contest promotions, and more. Sometimes give you free stuff, too. Sign up today, 1620thezone.com. How was Boji for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
Did you come back calling it Boji?
I didn't. No, I don't think I'll ever call it.
So you'll wait another.
I found it to be much less wild than everyone was telling me it was going to be.
What do you think it's going to be like? Spring break?
Well, Gary was saying it's going to be debauchery in the streets.
Well, it depends on where you go, I think.
Well, we must have been in like the family area then.
There's a stretch of businesses near Arnold's Park that in the evening hours gets a little rowdy.
See, we were in Arnold's Park the whole time, and it was just all families. It was just all families with kids.
Were the families topless?
Like hanging out. They were not, in fact. Everybody had their tarp on. So
yeah. It was one of those weekends.
But it was like
you needed to lead by example.
It was great for the kid. He had a great time. We went to the amusement park. We went to the water park.
Yeah.
That's
all that matters.
It was fun.
As long as the kid had
a good time.
Yeah, 4th of July out there, it'll probably be almost double the amount of people, I would think.
And it wasn't that busy. Like it wasn't terribly crowded everywhere.
Maybe everybody was in the Ozarks.
Maybe. Or
Shady Gators.
Is that in the Ozarks?
I do know someone that just went to Shady Gators and had a little too much fun. We'll leave it at that.
I think Peter's sneaky, man. He's got some Vegas insight. He's got Ozarks. He's gone to Bogie.
Yeah.
He's going to Lincoln tonight.
Geez. He's 24 and single. But
That's
he
right.
knows where it's at.
And the funny thing is, for this wedding tonight, I'm like, maybe I'll throw my suit on. Nope, I forgot I tore that.
You tore a suit?
I got
Were you doing the
I
Dougie?
got fitted for it my freshman year of college, and I put on a little bit of weight.
I thought maybe you just anytime there's the Cupid Shuffle, you
No,
do
no,
not deny it.
This was a way too small pants rip.
I put holes in the knees in my suit pants at a wedding.
Wow, because of the worm?
No, I did the old running knee slide across the dance floor.
Well, whoever made that suit should be ashamed of yourself. If you can't do a full-on running knee slide and then your pants give out, that's on the suit maker. That's not on you.
That
Come
happened.
on. Sometimes people
My
like to get down in a
pinstripe
suit.
Was no more.
Oh, it was pinstripe.
It was my
too?
pinstripe suit. Yep.
Can you name where you got it?
I think that was Burlington Coat Factory.
That sounds about
purchase.
right.
Yeah.
I bet you got a good deal on
I
it.
mean, I was fresh out of the Marines. I didn't have any money. So I was like, I need a new suit.
I got to know, Peter, let me know tonight because I'm assuming there'll be some organized dances.
I'm sure.
That what is it
Cupid
called?
Shuffle.
Well, the new Beyonce song, the Texas Hold'em or what's it called?
The country album.
Yeah, that's the country song,
I have not had a
whatever the
chance
hell
to
it's
listen to
called.
that, but I do know. Yeah, I know the song because we play it on our station.
Let's play Texas. If they have an organized dance to that, to me that feels like if you go to like Bushwhackers or any of your country bars, that they're two-stepping the crap out of that.
If I am asked to participate in that, I'm going to be like, well, what do I just need someone to show me what to do.
Yeah, just do it. Just make up your own thing, Peter. Because it's still
on
very
the spot,
new.
on the fly. We'll figure it out.
I assume if you go to Bushwhackers tonight or tomorrow or any other country bar around and they play that, they've already got the organized two-step with a couple kicks here, then a couple reverse kicks, and the kicking over on this side.
I don't know,
and
man.
some
Beer
kicks.
Can Alley.
A lot of kicks.
I don't know.
Beer
I
Can
don't know how
Alley. There you go.
receptive the country audience is to Beyonce.
Bay's got it. She's the queen. Come on.
I don't know.
Everyone loves Beyonce.
All right, hour 4 next, 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Pyramid Roof and Time Saving Traffic Center. Happy Feel Good Friday. It's a steady morning in the Omaha Metro with no accidents to report. If you're headed between Blair and Fremont, U.S. Highway 30 is closed in both directions between Nebraska Highway 31 and County Road 21 due to law enforcement activity. Expect slow goings on westbound I-80 towards the exit ramp 244th, and expect delays on the exit ramp from I-680 to the westbound Dodge Expressway. Everything else is smooth sailing. Hope you have a fantastic weekend. Just be sure to buckle up and drive safe out there. I'm Joey Colbert.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by the Nebraska Lottery.
Until July 30th, enter any non-winning Nebraska Lottery Wheel of Fortune scratch ticket online for a chance to win a trip to LA, tickets to a taping of Wheel of Fortune, and at least $2,000. Wheel of Fortune top prize odds 1 in 112,000.
Hey, you hear that? That's the sound of loose change in your pocket reminding you to buy a 99-cent medium fountain drink from Casey's. So the next time you hear this, you already know where to go. 99-cent medium fountain drinks. It's not crazy. It's Casey's.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
You never think cancer will happen to you. I smoked for over 40 years. My doctor recommended that I get annual lung cancer screening. They were able to catch my cancer at stage 1. It's never too late to quit. Even if you're still smoking, you need to ask your doctor about annual lung cancer screening. Just 30 minutes a year could save your life.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Free! Who doesn't love free? With Milo's Rewards, you get the member-only treatment that's actually worth it. Enjoy free member gifts you'll love. And once you reach Silver Key status, you can get free standard shipping. Because Lowe's knows nothing feels better than free. Learn more about our new loyalty program at Lowe's.com/MyLowe's Rewards today. Program subject to terms and conditions. See Lowe's.com/terms for details. Member gifts may be subject to additional terms and restrictions. See Lowe's.com/shipping terms for details. Subject to change.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to speak?
Too hard. Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 10 minutes a day.
10 minutes isn't long.
Nope. And they're fun.
Fun isn't hard.
Right. Babbel's interactive lessons, podcasts, games, and more make languages fun and engaging. You might even forget you're learning. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life. Babbel teaches language skills you'll actually use. About travel, business, relationships, and more. You'll learn what matters most to you. Plus, Babbel's lessons are designed to get you having real conversations in as little as 3 weeks.
Just 3 weeks? Even better.
Since Babbel's lessons are voiced by real native speakers, you'll get pronunciation just right and be able to carry on conversations with confidence.
Learning a language with Babbel doesn't take long. And with Babbel, it isn't hard. It's perfect.
Get Babbel. It starts here. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, we are counting down the minutes to the unveiling of the EA Sports College Football 2025 deets.
Been all over it. Read all the articles from the media members who got to play it yesterday.
Yeah, Matt Brown's been all over that.
Yeah, heard good things.
The write up from the Athletic was really good too.
Yep. You had to imagine they were going to do this the right way. If you are re-releasing, it's not that they're unveiling. I mean, in a sense, they are unveiling a new version. And how long has it been? What was the last year?
14.
14. Okay, so 10 years.
A little over a decade.
Which would have come out in 13.
Right, yes. So it's been, over 10 years. That you are, you're reintroducing a lot of new gamers to this and a modern look. And it's, in a way, maybe not the worst thing that it was on hiatus for a long time, because now you almost forget about
the anticipation.
Yeah. I mean, for all of us who, I knew friends. I never did this, but I knew friends. I think we all knew friends that would go to Best Buy or Walmart or wherever they could get their hands on it, and they'd be waiting in line at midnight.
The pre-order at GameStop was key.
Yeah. So
you can pick it up on release day.
As the graphics got better and better, it just became that much more fun to play. It is the biggest time vampire in the world. You'll realize, wow, I've been doing this for 12 hours. I suppose I should sleep or something. But it was so easy to just let time go by. I've said this.
Never got through an entire season in one day, though.
I never did. I feel like if I did that, even if I was younger,
I could get through an entire season of Tecmo Super Bowl in a day. Done that before.
I've never done that.
Yeah, I've done that.
I remember getting to the playoffs in Madden, like wrapping up a regular season in an entire day. But I think I got a pretty early start. But yeah, once all right, we're at a good stopping point. Playoffs. I will see you later.
We'll resume this tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow. So
I gotta go outside.
It's amazing. And now I was talking to Bill Bender, the Sporting News, earlier this week, and he brought up one of the classics, and that was Bill Walsh football. And if you're like my age, kind of around our generation there, Bill Walsh football was, that was the OG. That was a lot of fun. Now we've obviously progressed, and you look at graphics from all those times too. It's like, wow.
Do you remember
when we thought that was really cool? Like, wow, it can't get any better. This looks so real.
I remember having my mind absolutely blown when College Football 2000 came out and it actually had recruiting in it.
Yep.
Where it wasn't just like, oh, here's some new players you got.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like you actually got to go and choose which players you were. Now
you have the transfer portal.
Because
the game has the portal.
It has the portal. No NIL though.
No. Yeah, and
except in Road to Glory.
That would be kind of tough to manage. I feel like you want to, when you roll this out, you re-release it. I feel like NIL will have some type of role in this game in its near future, but you don't want to overwhelm
the explanation
the gamer.
That I read was that NIL is such a fluid situation. They don't know what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
Totally. They didn't want to put it in the game when they weren't sure how to implement it.
Well, and a lot of this thing, the gamers working with a lot of people in the business that could say, hey, there's a lot of change coming, especially with that settlement and how college football having compensation, having revenue share with your players. Let's hold off on the NIL thing till we see maybe some finality of what that actually looks like. So that's not a bad idea. One guy that I don't think is probably going to be spending a lot of time playing the EA Sports College Football 25 is Matt Verzal. He will join us next. I do want to know, because he's got limited time, but I do want to know if he's going to at least give any of his attention to the Chicago Bears and Hard Knocks. We'll talk to him, and also how about a little football too, and life, everything that we have with Verz is coming your way next.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10 on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. The Connor Happer Show.
I received a text that I had to look into during the break. Did you hear about the pandas coming back to America? China made America give all the zoo pandas back. Now China's giving some back, and we're just accepting them. Like China doesn't have cameras that are bugged. Pandas are bugged. Do you think the pandas that China is giving us back are bugged? Do you think they're listening to us with the pandas?
The Connor Happer Show. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
A chance for more spotty showers and thunder showers throughout the day Friday with heavy rain potential. Otherwise, expect mostly cloudy conditions, a tad cooler with highs in the low to mid 70s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
Host is roasting every morning. How does Host Coffee Services provide the best coffee for your workplace? By finding the richest and most robust coffee beans from all around the world and bringing them to our Nebraska roastery, where your coffee is roasted fresh and delivered straight to you. Proudly serving Nebraska since 1972. Host Coffee Services is always roasting something good for you.
For the second year, the Nebraska Lottery's NASCAR Powerball Playoff promotion has roared into our state, and the excitement is throttling up. Until June 24th, buy a Powerball ticket with Power Play and Double Play. Enter the voucher number, and you could be one of 15 Nebraska winners of $1,000 and the chance to win a VIP trip to the NASCAR Cup Series Championship Weekend, plus a shot at $1 million. Enter today. Powerball top prize odds 1 in 292 million.
To all of the families impacted by recent tornadoes, NFM wants to help. We've put together special disaster recovery pricing store-wide. Offers are available on furniture, appliances, flooring, and electronics. We hope this will make recovering easier for our eastern Nebraska and western Iowa neighbors. To ease financial strain, please mention this ad in-store and ask about long-term financing offers. In the wake of disaster, NFM is here to help if you need us.
No better time than now to focus on your garden or landscape. Come shop Lanahaw's Garden Center, filled with the area's best quality plants, flowers, and trees. Rooted in quality, unmatched value. Lanahaw Nurseries, 192nd and Center.
Baseball, food, music, and entertainment. It's unlimited fun for all ages at Omaha Storm Chasers games. For the kids, there's the Centris Family Fun Zone. For adults, there's drink specials at the Bud Light Town Draft Bar. And on select Saturday pregame, there's live music for everyone. There's no better way to spend a summer day than with your Chasers family. Get your tickets today at OmahaStormChasers.com.
Omaha Storm
Chasers family. Everyone get on your feet, stir up the storm, we're family.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's business cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp for free. Just go to ramp.com/sports. Ramp.com/sports. ramp.com/sports.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Hop into the driver's seat of a new Ford truck or SUV now at Baxter Ford. Choose from hundreds of new Ford F-150s, F-150 Lightnings, F-250s, and F-350s. Baxter Ford has over 250 new SUV models available, including Bronco, Bronco Sport, Escape, Edge, Explorer, Expedition, and more. Plus, all our vehicles come with fair, transparent pricing and no dealer fees. So you only pay for the vehicle, not the paperwork. Get started at BaxterFord.com.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Peter, we don't get the Vers intro? What the hell, man?
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Damn it, Peter. Jesus. He's not always about the pomp and circumstance, but Matt Verzal joins us here as he does every Friday right here on Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Vers, how are you this morning?
Good, boys. How we doing?
Good. All right. I know you're a man that is very, very busy. So I got to ask this question with the news that came out yesterday officially that the Chicago Bears will be the feature of Hard Knocks. How many minutes will you give the Chicago Bears in Hard Knocks?
0.
That's what I thought.
I have never seen the show.
Oh, okay. Now
they must have jobs. We don't have time for TV. I haven't sat down and watched like a Netflix TV show, movie, anything. I bet probably 5 years. But I can tell you the order of every ESPN reel that goes through and the programming guide for them. So that's what's on at Pythons. We don't put on a lot of Hard Knocks.
I love it. That's great.
Maybe one night, maybe like a Wednesday night, a dedicated night for Hard Knocks. You could have Chicago Bears fans come in and they can just make Pythons the home of watching Hard Knocks. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you how to run your business.
Honestly, the way that the ownership group acts, I don't think I want to watch it, even remotely. And people want to say it's all this other stuff. Successful organizations are successful because of ownership or leadership and not coaches. It's the next level up because that's where initial tension is created. So if you get, look at Nebraska, 4 regions, who knows what they do, but that trickles down. And then when you get adults that don't like adults, then that's like a refreshing thing about Rule. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
So you suits, do what you got to do. I'm doing this. If you don't like it, you can fire me. I got a big fat contract, deal with it. So that's, if you want to know organizations that are run well, they're from the top down, not just the coach top down.
No, and that's fair because it's kind of interesting. I bring up Hard Knocks, but this is something that we continue to see even college football teams doing. And I know I asked you about this last year because you had the inside access and the videos that were being put out in 45 minutes to an hour episodes of getting an inside look at Nebraska during fall camp and then throughout the season. It's a recruiting tool. We all know that. And I remember asking you last year if they were to have done that when you were playing, what they would have seen. But when you do now see these things rolled out, John and I were talking about this, you don't take a lot from it because you're getting the final say on what fans are able to see, what they want you to see. And so I know the purpose it serves, but when it comes to authenticity, you're not really getting any of that anymore.
those serve the purpose of making sure that, like, if you look at when those get released and the time that ticket donations and ticket money are due, I bet there's a pretty close correlation to those that haven't sent that check in.
I don't think you're wrong.
So they put out the old bid and like, man, we are going to win it all, and I better get pen to paper and send that bad boy in.
All right, Matt. We got Nebraska baseball playing Florida today. We were talking earlier. Seems like there's a lot to gain for Nebraska if they can get a win here against Florida. What's your read on this matchup with the Gators?
Well, to me, if you look at this game, right, so Florida 28-27 coming out of the SEC, you're probably going to week in, week out be playing tougher competition. Like, plate discipline for Nebraska is going to be huge. Like, and I'm talking like not balls and strikes, like not making sure I know what my strikes are. I'm talking like fouling off close pitches to get pitch counts up, to get things, you know, kind of in that situation where now Florida's got to make bullpen moves, force tears, and Nebraska's pitching. It's just like you don't have to. You got 8 others with you. Okay, you don't have to go out and throw a no hitter. You just have to go out and keep the ball on the ground, keep the ball in the park, let your defense help you out, which they do a nice job of. Like, it's, you don't have to do too much. Okay. As far as like what it means, like for the mentality, hey man, this is the playoffs. Like, this is why you played 75 games or however many of the games they played. Get in there and do your thing. You know, you've done this all year. You know what you're doing. Don't try to do too much. There's not going to be an 8-run home run with the bases empty. So, you know, guys at the plate, good plate discipline, fouling pitches off, making their pitch count go up. But you don't need to swing out your boots and try to hit one back to Lincoln. Like, you just need to put runs together. Baseball is a fun game because it's momentum and pressure. And then can I get you to crack under pressure? And the ball will always find somebody that doesn't want it.
Ball don't lie.
So if you get, you find somebody that maybe get an error early in the game, then you just keep peppering them with the ball. But just stay inside yourself. You're not going to win in the first inning. Just play a good, complete game of baseball. And the bracket is nice for them. Like, Florida is a good SEC team. Didn't have the best season, but have talent. And then, Okie State won the Big 12 tournament, but I don't think that's a world beater team that everybody's going to fear. I mean, it ain't like you're in with Tennessee. So just handle your business. Play the game you've been playing since you were 2 years old, and your travel ball team went to 19 states, and you were the 2-year-old national champion. Play the game.
Talking to Matt Verzal. Matt, and I know you get a chance to see your nephew play, and you talk to him throughout the season. But you've also been a part of high leverage situations as a competitor. And this is where I'm always interested in the mentality, because of the name across the chest of a team that you're playing. For a long time, when you played football at Nebraska, what you guys had on either the helmet or the jersey that you were wearing, there were a lot of occasions where you had that team defeated before they even took the first snap. I've said this. I'm not trying to overdo it of 9 innings of baseball for Nebraska taking on a team like Florida that was last year's national runner-up that has that name across the chest. But is there a belief that a win against Florida, other than the obvious, it gets them into the winner's bracket, you're one step closer to being in a great situation, that this can do things when you beat a program with that type of reputation that Florida has, that this can do things for the program beyond just this tournament if you get a win today?
You're intimating it, like sending a message to the rest of the field, like, hey, Nebraska just went and beat Florida round 1?
From that standpoint, and also even when it comes to recruiting.
So when you get it, I think the pop in recruiting would probably be the toughest part of it. To have Nebraska beat Florida in the first one, it probably wouldn't, it's just that baseball is a different animal. It's a win. And, now, like you said, you put yourself in an advantageous situation. When you're really going as an organization, hinted at the fear that was created when teams would play us.
Mm-hmm.
The big thing of it is when you go out and play and you don't care who you're playing.
Mm.
Like, you don't care if it says Florida. You don't care if it says 2016 Chicago Cubs. You don't care what it says on the jersey. That's when you're going.
Mm-hmm.
But if you worry about the name you're playing, then you're probably worrying about baseball's got too much other mental stuff going on. You don't got to worry about that. You got to worry about a dude cutting you off an 85-mile-an-hour slider after you just greased one on the inside corner. Like you're, those shouldn't be concerns. It's just like, okay, we're playing this team. They're in our way. What does their pitcher do?
Yep.
And how can we beat him? And what's our game plan? Like, if we get 2 on, are we going to bunt? If we get 2 on, are we going to swing away? Like, how are we doing that today? So that would be when you don't care who you're playing. That's when it goes. Like, Florida does not care.
Right.
Florida, we're playing Nebraska. Like, okay, whatever. What's their pitcher going to do?
Mm-hmm.
He's 10-0. He's got this ERA. He loves this pitch when he wants to try to strike you out.
Yep.
Those kind of things.
Hey, before I let you go, I did want to ask you some of the news this week with football, and a lot of it's just been about the schedule, the kickoff times, and what have you, a lot of prime time. Black Friday game being in prime time. I again, trying to look at how important this second year for Matt Rule is in program growth and what you do in the years ahead. Is there something to be said, Vers, about not only having a lot of eyeballs on you, but in the primetime slate that this, kind of like I asked about baseball, the opportunities that exist, if you show up on those stages where Nebraska unfortunately has not as of late, you show up on those stages, not only does it mean immediate success for this year and the win-loss record, but what it can also do for years to come, having that type of platform, if you will, with what we are now seeing Nebraska's schedule look like.
I think whether they want to admit it or not, the people that cover the games want to give Nebraska the opportunity because it is a win-win for them.
Yep.
Okay? If they give them the opportunity and Nebraska goes out and performs terribly and literally fumbles the ball both literally and figuratively, then they can say, well, those guys are never going to get back. And we're putting it out there for everybody to see. But if you look at it the other way, they're like, hey, man, we're giving you prime time. We believe in your coach because he's a pretty good sales guy. He's telling us all this stuff. So now you have to go out and you get this opportunity that not a lot of teams are getting. So you best perform and show everybody you're on the climb back to where you once were. I think you could catch the eye of kids. I don't think 1-2 games in a season is going to do it. I think you're going to really see Nebraska reap the benefits of like primetime games and better football being played in like 2 to 4 years. Like, I don't think they're going to, this is going to be a grind. They're going to, if, like I said, get to 7 this year, you're in a bowl, you got a chance to win 8, perfect. Because then next year you're going to go out with a bunch of grinders. They may not be the top end guys yet, but they're going to be guys that have turned heads. You catch a couple of them here and there, but the majority of your program is going to be built on core, work hard, try hard, overachieve type guys. That's the progression. Like, this college football isn't overnight, and you have a lag always in recruiting. Like, previous regime had a lot of guys come in that we were, excited about, and a lot of guys left that we didn't really have the chance to see blossom.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you have a lag where you don't have that talent in your program. Not that the kids there aren't talented, but the depth of talent.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have to take advantage of them giving you primetime opportunity. But you cannot shoot yourself in the foot. You cannot jump offside. You cannot have stupid penalty. You cannot turn the ball over. Like, you can't do those little things that beat yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If they eliminate beating themselves, now the perception of it changes. You may not be in the 4 or 5 star guy, but you're going to be in the 3, 4 star guy.
Yep.
And the 3, 4 star guys are the ones you build your program on, because they have hate in their heart. They have spite. They have all those nasty things that make football awesome. I went to Nebraska because they believed in me, and I'm going to play that team because they didn't believe in me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm about to knock 6, 7 their dudes out. Like, you better get the gurney because I'm going to hit some of them. Like, that's when it grows.
Yeah.
That's when it's cool. Now, you get to that point because if we look at Nebraska's history, right? 80s, awesome teams. Late 80s, awesome teams. But just couldn't get over the hump.
Yeah.
Then you hit the honeypot and you go down to Manatee and Kevin Steele pulls out T. Frage and T. Will, and then LP comes. And now you're like, and a mine just down the street.
Yeah.
You know, now you're like, whoa, okay. You go down and pluck a couple out of Texas, one little short midget, and one that moved down to Florida. Get some homegrown guys. Now you've got a core of dudes that were overlooked by people or told they had to change position. They're pissed. Nothing better than a pissed off, talented human being that does not want to lose. And now you change the direction of things for a great, 5-year run.
I'm interested with the announce of all these kickoff times, and it's not necessarily directly related to that, but is there a game on the schedule that you are particularly excited to see how Nebraska looks against that team?
All. I don't think we have the luxury to pick one and say, hey, I think we got Ohio State this year. That's always a measuring stick. A fun one for me is I will probably get my sideline pass for the UNI game. Kid that played for us at Scott, Blake Anderson, who I tried to call down there, and I was like, hey, this kid is 6'4", 275. He just beat Garrett Nelson into the ground. He hasn't shaved yet. He's going to be 6'6", 310 and look pretty good. But they weren't interested, so Blake went to UNI. So I will be down on the sidelines. But by the way, hole-in-one maker at Iron Horse, Blake Anderson.
Whoa!
190 yard 8-iron.
Damn!
I'll do.
Mask behind the 8-iron.
Holy hell! I think I could hit a 5 on that. Jeez.
But I'll go down and watch that one. That was just a sentimental one for me. And his mom was in the other night. She's like, "What color are you wearing?" I said, "Black." I said, "Red and purple together, you get black." So I'll be in black t-shirt for that game. But I don't look at them and say, "Hey, we're going to do this." Ohio State's always a measuring stick because they're the top.
Yeah.
So you hope you don't go in there and get your ass kicked, and you keep that one close with a chance to win it late. That's always what I say when you're playing teams that are better than you. Just let me hang around.
Yep.
Let me Mike versus Teddy KGB. I'm just going to hang around all night, and by the end, I might sneak one in there.
The alligator blood hanging around. Verz,
get that blood.
Have a great weekend, man. Appreciate you coming on as always.
See you, boys.
It's Matt Verzal. How about, wait, 190-yard ace using an 8-iron.
That's like DeChambeau territory.
Holy smokes. I got excited when I was able to hit my pitching wedge more than 125 one day. Jesus. Like an 8-iron? 190? I'm not far from having to break out the hybrid on that. Good Lord. Good for that man.
And that's like 6-iron distance.
Yeah. When we come back, we're going to call our shot on the 8 that we feel we were going to see in Omaha. Are you just trying to go whoop pig suey?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought you were doing hog call there. I thought you're tipping your hand to one.
I was just anticipating because we're making prognostications.
I know.
People are going to hold us to this.
I know. That's
this
fine.
is important stuff.
This is important. You got to.
This is going to be on record. It's
This is
going
where
to
you
be
can't
on the internet forever.
You can't overthink it either. You just can't overthink it. Also, if we got time, I do want to get a quick thought here on some college basketball with the retention from yesterday with the NBA deadline, or the NBA draft deadline coming and going, and really in the Big East.
You think NIL is a factor?
Very much so. In this case, I think it's very good for college basketball too, because you're seeing teams get a little older and more experienced, and that should improve the quality. We're back right after this to wrap up the show here on 1620 The Zone.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. The best way to catch all the action is on 1620 The Zone. And no line for the bathroom.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those round trips that you plan in advance, which are perfect on your way there and perfect on your way back? Or those meetings with friends for which you make a group chat 3 months before so that nobody or anything is missing? Or your daughter's first birthday party. You planned it with such dedication that instead of the first, it felt like our 15s. The same way you plan each detail for those moments. Start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Don't miss this week's Zone Deal.
This week's half-off deal are coupons valued at $50 on sale for just $25 to the Woodcliff restaurant at Woodcliff Lake in Fremont. It's perfect for a romantic dinner or to bring the whole family to enjoy a culinary treat for any special occasion. $50 on sale for just $25 to the Woodcliff restaurant at Woodcliff Lake in Fremont. This week's half-off deal.
Zone deals go fast. 9 a.m. Friday, 1620thezone.com.
Don't answer that. It's another roof gypsy ringing the doorbell. They are attempting to capitalize on the misfortune that Mother Nature has thrown your way. Make the right call to a trusted company that has faithfully served the Omaha area for over 35 years. The Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
For roofing, siding, and gutter repair, make the right call to John Higgins Weather Guard.
John Higgins Weather Guard, the home of the Rooferees. Make the right call.
You guys just didn't want it bad enough. That should have been an easy win. What were you doing out there? You got to hustle. You could have made that play if you'd been open.
On the car ride home after the game, when you think you're helping by telling me what I did wrong and what I need to work on, all I hear is that I'm not good enough, that I'm supposed to be perfect, that it's not okay to lose. On the car ride home, all I need to hear is how much you love me and enjoy watching me play. That my worth isn't determined by my performance. That even on my worst day, I am worthy. That you see me learning, growing, and doing my best. And that is enough.
This message presented by the NSAA and the Nebraska State Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Prediction time.
It is prediction time. Before we do that, let you know what's coming up on the Connor Happers Show. They're going to be talking some Croton with Brian Munson. Also, a little thoughts on the regional in Stillwater with Brian Christopherson of Husker 24/7 Sports. And Steve Sipple joins the boys. That is coming up on the Connor Happers Show. Following us, we'll, of course, have our crossover here in just a moment. But it is time to reveal our Omaha 8, if you will. Mr. Schreiner, what do you got?
All right. On the left side of the bracket.
The left side. That's the Tennessee side.
I have Tennessee. Mm-hmm. Then I have a slight upset.
Okay.
I have the Duke Blue Devils.
Duke?
Yeah.
I am with you on Duke, by the way.
Yeah. I think they get past Oklahoma, and I think it's Florida State who they beat to get to Omaha.
Okay.
Then I'm on Arkansas. I just believe in DVH.
Yep.
I think he gets the Hogs back here. And then I'm going with another slight upset. I think this is the year the DBU finally makes it to Omaha.
Nice. Okay.
Dallas Baptist is who I'm going with there. So on the left side, I got Tennessee, Duke, Arkansas, Dallas Baptist. The other side's a little more chalky for me. I got Kentucky. I like UNC Wilmington. Their pitching numbers are really good. UNC Wilmington is one of the best pitching staffs in the country. That sets up a potential like UNC Wilmington, NC State super regional, which would be fun. I think we might get they're the Seahawks of UNC Wilmington.
Oh, even better.
I'm going to disappoint you. What? I think it's Oklahoma State that comes out of this super.
I got them out of the regional. I actually have Clemson taking them down in the super.
Yeah, I think it's Oklahoma State, and then I have Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M, just the experience factor, and Schloss is hell of a coach.
Yep.
So
we agree in some aspects. So I got Tennessee defeating Wake Forest in that super regional. I think Wake will get out of their regional as well. I'm with you, though, on Duke. Duke, in fact, I think we're going to get an all ACC Duke versus Florida State, where Duke punches their ticket. I got Arkansas defeating Mississippi State in the super regional. So the Hogs will be back to Omahogs, that is. We'll be back to Omaha. UNC defeating Arizona. And then I've got Kentucky taking down Oregon State. Georgia taking down. This is my one upset in a regional. I'm going to go with the third seed James Madison of making it out of the Raleigh regional, but then they lose.
So we both have
Georgia.
an upset coming out of that super.
Yes. And then I've got, so I do have Georgia beating James Madison, but I do have James Madison getting out of that regional. Clemson taking down Oklahoma State, and then I'm going with Texas A&M over UC Santa Barbara. So I got Tennessee, Duke, Arkansas, UNC, and Kentucky, Georgia, Clemson, and Texas A&M.
Yeah, mine was Tennessee, Duke, Arkansas, Dallas Baptist, Kentucky, UNCW, Oklahoma State, Texas A&M.
There we go. So for all those teams that were not mentioned,
I will happily be wrong if Nebraska can make it to Omaha. Happily.
It's out of all of the regions. Again, I think about the Big Ten teams involved in a regional. Indiana's got a really tough one there with Tennessee and Southern Miss both in that one. Again, Southern Miss was a team that was right there on the line of possibly hosting. And then I look at Illinois. I think Lexington is going to be a tough place. Wouldn't shock me if Illinois gets a victory today against Indiana State. And that's no disrespect to Indiana State. Again, Indiana State was also on the verge of hosting for a second straight year. But Kentucky, to me, is the real deal. So I think that's a tough one. I think despite the brand history in the Stillwater region between Oklahoma State and Florida, unfortunately, I just don't know enough about Niagara other than the hockey team that came here.
The Purple Eagles?
Is that what they are now?
Yeah.
Okay. So the heck were they in hockey? They are not the Purple Eagles in hockey. In fact, they look like UCLA. They're light blue and gold. Anyway.
Are you thinking of the LIU Brooklyn Sharks?
Oh, I'm thinking of LIU. You're right. I am thinking of LIU. Thank you for the correction there. Nebraska, I think, just from purely what they've done compared to the teams in their region, they've got I think it's a very similar situation that they were in 2021, albeit I think they have a much more challenging opponent than they did in 2021 in that first round. But Nebraska shouldn't be overwhelmed by what they see from either Oklahoma State or Florida if they're fortunate enough to get there.
I think Nebraska wins today. I'm predicting that Nebraska is going to beat Florida.
I got Florida.
Mark it down.
I got Florida winning 8-4.
Mark it 8, dude.
Mark it 8.
The region that was hardest for me to decide on was honestly the Santa Barbara region, because you have, I think, 4 teams in there that like anything could happen.
Yep.
Santa Barbara, Fresno
it wouldn't
State,
shock me if Oregon got out of there.
San Diego. And San Diego is another team that pitches it really well.
Yep.
So that one was difficult to decide. And
No,
then
I'm with
like, do I know anything about UNC Wilmington? Not really. But just looking at the numbers, Georgia and Georgia Tech, I mean, Georgia's obviously really good, but like their pitching numbers aren't great either. And I'm a big believer in pitching at this time of year. So the Schwilm, UNC Wilmington, good numbers. Their numbers are great. I think they might even be top 10 in team ERA in the country.
Hey, by the way,
They're
LIU is in the regional, in the Chapel Hill regional too.
Ooh.
So Omaha hockey's non-conference foes are all well represented in the NCAA baseball tournament with LIU and Niagara. The other one that I was looking at, and it's because I don't necessarily trust Virginia as a full-on 1 seed that's going to punch their ticket to Omaha. That was another one in Charlottesville where you could look at Mississippi State. And even, I know this sounds crazy because it's Big East baseball, St. John's did not have a bad season. They won the Big East tournament. And
I think St. John's wins that region.
Okay.
I have them losing to Arkansas in the Super.
I think UConn is in a much more difficult region.
Yes.
Because
the Norman Regional is
that's wide open.
One of the I would stack that against any of the other regionals as the one with the most depth.
Oral Roberts started to figure things out after a really slow start. You know that program, especially in the postseason, nothing. I mean, they're used to being a 4 seed. They rode that all the way into the College World Series last year. Yeah, they had a horrible start. Duke is another team that probably could have hosted. UConn has been one of the more consistent teams in the Big East, and Oklahoma obviously is very deserving of that 1 seed. That's another one in that regional that could go a couple of different ways there too. So
yeah, and I watch out for Vandy to maybe pull an upset.
I know
too.
I kept Vandy out. I got Clemson winning that one, and that's more of I'm hoping we keep Vandy out because I can't deal with the Whistler.
But I mean, they're putting it together at the right time as well.
And that's a program again at this time
Tim
of
Corbin
the year.
is a wizard.
He is, and I mean this is where you even look at Kevin O'Sullivan with Florida. Give him an opportunity to be in the postseason. You give him that extra little lease on life for a team that was pretty much written off a month ago. You never know how a team's going to respond to that. So it all gets underway at 2:00 today. Nebraska taking on Florida up and down, actually. Down in Stillwater, Oklahoma, hoping that the weather will cooperate out there so they will be uninterrupted with that game. And then it'll be Oklahoma State, Niagara. The winners will play each other tomorrow night. All the losers trying to extend their season earlier in the day tomorrow. Hopefully Nebraska's in that evening game. Should be a lot of fun for that one. As I mentioned, coming up, the Connor Happer Show. They've got all kinds of baseball to be talking about. And who knows, it might even spill into the crossover coming up next. The whole gang back on Monday with Gary, Jimmy, and myself. We look forward to talking to you then. Have a fantastic weekend. And as Gary always says, make some memories. He also says live, laugh, and punt.
Thanks for having me in.
All that stuff. John, appreciate you coming in. Peter, also with your great work all week. Appreciate both of y'all.
Thank you.
And everybody, have a great weekend. For Peter, for John, I'm Nick. You've been listening to Mornings with Sharp and Handley here on 1620 The Zone.
Live from the Host Coffee